we can just go ahead and get
Yeah.
started. We are live. Hello, everybody. I'm super excited tonight.
Hello.
We're like 3 minutes late, but that's perfect because 3:33 has been coming up all day and every single thing I do, which is pretty normal when you're screwing around with Arcturian shit, as I'm sure we will get into at some point in time.
Yeah.
Super happy to have all of you here. We also have Claudia with us. She is on here now, and hopefully I can figure out where the right overlay is.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi, Claudia. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm awesome. How are you guys?
I am doing wonderful. If anybody in the chat could let me know if any audio levels are having any problems so we can adjust them, I would appreciate that. So you guys did an astral travel class today. I heard Aaron talk about it a lot on Frank Castle's podcast, which Frank might be on here later. He said it went really awesome. How did it go for you, Claudia?
Look, here's my notes.
Look at this.
Oh
That's
my
his
gosh.
notes. Aaron's
I
notes.
love it.
Apparently, you said, just as a quick interjection, and please answer, Claudia, because it was a beautiful experience, and I'd love to totally promote you in that because it was awesome. But you also said the other day, like, Arcturians, they want to go grab their whiteboard and everything. I'm like, shut up. I carry a whiteboard on me everywhere. I had no idea that was an Arcturian thing. You know? Awesome. So please, go ahead.
No, I literally am standing next to a whiteboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm curious about what you experienced.
Oh, defer it all to me. Okay. That's fine. Let's do that. It's better if somebody who took your class talks about your show anyway, right? Let another praise you or whatever. So awesome. No, first of all, to you, just personally, right? I don't think people understand, like, not that I've done it, but I've done things like that in my life, and I get the dynamic. And just being in the class with you, it's just I was really feeling a lot of honor for you as a person. I mean, to be able to create enough content of just your own experiences, you putting the slides together, you sharing your heart, you communicating in a way that that was 4 hours, you know, plus a solid like hour, you know, guided meditation deal at the hour of astral projection dynamic, which I had to bail in the class early because I just did Frank's show and whatever, which we talked about that earlier, but we have the recording to go over, and I was there for the first part of it. Anyway, that would open up a whole other door. The whole class was wonderful. The way that you laid things out totally makes sense. It connects a lot of dots, I think, for a lot of people, myself included. There's just ways that you were able expressing things that I've heard about or done in my own way, but it added a way for me to come about to achieve the same goal from maybe a different facet. That's beautiful because there's so many things to learn looking through different facets, I think. So thank you very much for providing that.
No, I'm so happy that you brought in your energy. And you brought in that Arcturian vibe. And I mean, you could feel the energy of the people, right? And it was just so much fun. And just like, this is not my class. Like I say, we are going to be sharing this because again, I'm just like the vessel. Like I'm literally channeling the class. Because it's not my content. It's like what my guides have shown me. The guides are literally being like, oh, say this, you know? And it's just sort of like this coming out. And it's also not just like my guides and my teachers in the spiritual plane. It's also the amazing teachers I've gotten to learn and work with in this 3D world, you know? So it's definitely like not mine, it's not all mine. Maybe like the way I've presented it,
just to diminish the humility here, which is genuine, but like, okay, but it came through you. You were born here. You put those materials together. It came through you. So I would say give yourself some credit because you did an incredible job with all these other things that you've culminated. It's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so happy you enjoyed it. And like Kennedy Doll is saying, love the class. My life has changed. And it really will change your life because the reason why I started teaching about astral traveling is because like what you were saying, Aaron, is like it naturally happens for you. Well, sometimes a lot of these things are just so intuitive because we've worked with this in the past and we're like, oh, okay, this is just normal, right? But in this quarantine, we're like, oh, we're stuck in between these four walls. I can't go anywhere. And I'm like, why don't I teach people how to travel inside of themselves, how to travel into the cosmos? Because the cosmos is inside of us, right? Like we are starseeds, we are star stuff. And so it's just such an honor to like be sharing this information in a way that people can absorb it, you know, in a practical way. And I think for me, that's like my Arcturianness coming out, right? Can we apply this in a practical way?
Yeah. And I want to say also that as you can tell just as you're talking, that genuine joy you have in doing it is very genuine. It's not just like cookie cutter, you're just doing a thing. Like you can tell your heart's in it. You love the people that are in there. You love yourself. You love this world. You're a beautiful human being. Thank you for existing and doing what you do.
Oh, thank you for existing too. And like, you know, we are a mirror for each other. Like we're a mirror for each other, you know, the beauty that you see in me is the beauty you see in yourself. And that's why we're resonating here. And that's why we're, again, meeting in this space. Again, after 4 hours of being together.
To carry off what you were saying, Claudia, we can really, a lot of what tonight is about is actually bringing everybody together to show them that they all can do that. And not only that you can do that, that it is actually very important that we all take part in this. It actually only takes a very small amount of people to be able to really induce a really big change in the area. I'm going to show a video here in just a moment. That's just like a 5-minute video that for me personally, it gets me super psyched up on working with consciousness. It really like quickly touches on kind of the Maharishi effect, which is the idea that a small amount of people meditating on an idea can create a big effect. And this goes for connections with other types of energy systems, whether it be like a star system or an ancestor, some kind of past life experience, anything like this. We can learn how to work with these energies and connect with them. And much like astral travel, we can find a way to basically experience connectivity with those things. And really, that's all that consciousness is about, is enhancing connectivity, not only with ourselves, but also with the people around us, be it through like coming together on a podcast, doing meditations together, or really just simply thinking about the same kinds of things.
Definitely. Agreed. I'm excited to see this.
And what's cool is that so Zach and I, we talked about this before, but Zach and I only met a short time ago. I mean, really connected in the last week or two at most, talking. And then Claudia and I met yesterday. I started an interview with Zach, and I knew she was going to be on the show. And then she also had that class, and I really wanted to do that. So just all the synchronicity, like things are happening really quickly in a very deeply sincere and organic way. It's really great.
Exactly. And this is all about like the time is speeding up. Like literally time is speeding up. And so like for everyone who's on this call, like you guys are just you being here and opening your minds and your hearts to what's going to be shared and what we're going to all create together, you're going to start seeing life changes and shifts like this, right? And you got to ride the wave. You got to pay attention to the signs and the synchronicities. And the more that you follow that, the more that exactly, right? You keep on tuning to the rhythm of the universe. And the more that you do that, like the more people that you'll attract who resonate with you, the more teachers you'll attract, the more information you'll attract, and the faster that you'll be able to sort of access your gifts.
Absolutely. So we speaking of gifts, like on material level, we talk a lot of the time about the 1%, the other 99%, the haves and the have-nots. And as this video is showing right on the screen right here, the other 1%, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the fact that 1% of people are able to influence a change, and we're going to experience that through connecting with something that is different for ourselves, and then watching that emerge into our own life. And by cohering with these energies, we'll see that we are able to work together, both through basically what is just a bigger format of ourselves, and we will be able to actually affect a change in the world that literally makes the world a better place. All the people who were telling you that you can't change the world, they were wrong, and this is where we can start doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and roll this, and like I said, it's about 5 minutes.
Even though what I'm doing with CE5 is what I'm most ridiculed for, it was the project that got the most respect and attention from the intelligence community, because they knew it was real. They knew the science of consciousness is real. They knew that these ET civilizations utilize communication technologies that interface with thought, and telepathy, and consciousness. They all know this. This is an open secret in the intelligence community. We all think that power is derived from your weapon system, your financial clout, the usual materialistic paradigm. The reason that the deeper elements of the intelligence community have this intense interest in it and don't want the public to know is that, first of all, it is extremely efficient spycraft, which they don't want others to have. Secondly, they know that if people understood the power of consciousness and of mass consciousness, they would be able to completely change the direction of the planet. That is, to me, the big secret.
Most people have heard of the random number generator studies through the Global Consciousness Project.
A question tonight, can you actually measure the emotional outpouring in a worldwide crisis?
Sometimes scientists think that they have done just that. Their machines and computers found a bizarre pattern right after several global disasters.
This was an experiment in which researchers placed dozens of random number generators around the world and analyzed their data to see if they could discover anything about global or collective consciousness.
On September 11th, a few hours before the first plane struck, this network of random number generators became more coherent, less random and more coherent.
It may sound bizarre, but Dr. Nelson and his team have been at this for the better part of a decade. The first spike showed up in 1997 with the death of Princess Diana. Other events like the Concorde crash, the Madrid train bombing, and the Pope's funeral all registered on those random number generators. But early on the morning of September 11th, the data went off the charts.
The odds of this being a coincidence is less than 1 in 100 billion. This shows there is a deep relationship between collective consciousness and the physical world.
Sociology studies of meditators, where they go into a community, say you have a town of 200,000 people, and they would send in 1% of the population equivalent, 2,000 people, to go into deep meditation. And they found that emergency room visits declined, violent crimes declined, robberies, all kinds of negative behaviors declined, even though those people didn't even know they were in the city, because there is this resonant effect through the force, if you want to look at it that way, through this entangled, interwoven consciousness field. And people who didn't even know these meditators were there became more ordered, more peaceful, more happy, etc., and so on.
This was actually based on the studies done in quantum physics in which a container of helium was cooled down to absolute zero. When only 1% of the helium became aligned to coherent, the entire container went through a phase transition, instantly shifting into coherence and taking on almost magical properties, a state called superfluidity.
So there was this transformation at that 1% point. When a critical mass of people, and whether it's 1% or a fraction of that, depends on the state of consciousness of those who are practicing the meditation or a prayer or coherence. But at that point, you can shift an entire civilization. If we all become coherent, just 1% of us, like a molecule of helium, and we become aligned and coherent and move in the right direction, it will transform the other 99%, even though they don't know that we're doing it. And that's the beauty and the power of the structure of non-locality in consciousness, is that it's all interwoven, but there's enormous power when you're operating at that deeper level of consciousness. And that the intelligence community is very much afraid of, because that's something, A, they cannot control, and B, it would transcend their ability to alter the outcome.
The total number of minds in the universe is 1. In fact, consciousness is a singularity phasing within all beings. Dr. Erwin Schrödinger, Nobel Prize-winning physicist.
Wow, I have never seen that video before.
All right, so now that always gets me super pumped for everything that has to do with connectivity. That guy right there, Dr. Stephen Greer, he has a documentary that someone in here said they watched. They can comment on it to how good it is. It's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. He leads people in basically doing meditations outside, utilizing a proven technique that he has used to actually, for thousands of people, to actually summon unidentified flying objects. Functionally, what we're going to do here tonight is Claudia is going to lead us into a connectivity meditation where we will utilize our consciousness together to basically create a bigger beacon for connecting with a certain type of energy, in this case Arcturian. And as a byproduct of that, we will functionally generate a vortex, which will allow us to get a better connectivity with that information that will come forward through all of us. We're going to sit here and share in a conversation about it as functionally allowing ourselves to channel that energy, but we really encourage you to go ahead and take part in the conversation as well, because as you're all taking part of this, realistically, it's going to come forward through all of us. I'm going to get my piece. Everybody's going to get their piece. And the more that we can put it back together down here, the more that we can make sense of it, and we can really start to use it to do something worthwhile on the planetary level.
I love it.
So, Aaron, you got anything to say before we have Claudia lead us into this meditation?
Please lead away. Super fluidity. That's definitely going into my meditation.
All right. Is there anything that you want to say ahead of time, Claudia, about what you're going to have us do, or anything you want anybody to get prepared for this?
Yeah. So actually, I just want us to sort of talk about the Arcturians before, right? To sort of like preface, you know, like get people, people's energies in tune, their minds in tune, because like our minds are literally Wi-Fi routers, and we're going to start to send the signals out, right? So then when we're actually doing the meditation, it instantly gets us there. So also, I just know that some people are not familiar with the Arcturians because there's so many different types of starseed races. So do you guys want to talk about sort of the Arcturians, sort of like who they are, what they're generally known for, what they look like?
I'm certainly very happy to share my experiences with that and some other things that I've looked into. One of the primary things that I see that is one reason why I think Arcturian energy is actually very strong on the planet at this point in time. Arcturians love technology and logical systems. If you're super into technology, there's a really good chance that you're already tapped into this energy. If you're naturally talented with technology, again. If you're fascinated with numbers, also another good likelihood. For me and my personal experience, and well, I mean, Arcturus is a star that is so much bigger than our local sun.
Can you throw that up on the screen? Zach, can you throw that up on the screen?
I can find that. I can definitely find that. So I don't know if I can find the exact image we were looking at the other night, but the real point is that it's so much bigger than our local sun that there's a lot of stuff going on around it. And so it is a very diverse culture. Dr. John Lilly, who also, he wrote a whole lot of books and did a whole lot of basically extraterrestrial communication through a variety of different methods. And in the process of that, he actually went through kind of denoting what some of these organizations that he came in contact with, and basically planets and star systems and so on and so forth, and kind of identified some of their things. And Arcturians had an enormous amount of different things because it is a very big star and it's a very big system. But for me personally, they have all been about basically technology, logical systems, and pretty much just how data gets from one place to the other. And I've definitely interacted with a lot of other people around those things, where then I bring up Arcturus later and they're like, oh my gosh, me too. So like that has seemed very consistent for me personally. What have you guys noticed?
So I think the Arcturian, I mean, like the whiteboard thing I said earlier. And I guess to also ask, what does it mean to be Arcturian? If you're going to identify or associate with that, or what does that mean? You know, because I've thought about that a lot for years, as that's come up just in the, you know, the collective, and just things I'm searching, or keywords, or just articles, and just my own intuitive dynamic. And so it's taking a lot of pieces over time to still not have any conclusions. They're all running conclusions, right? They're just finding resonances with things that there seems to be a lot of consistent synchronicities with the Arcturian dynamic, like as you're laying it out in my other ways. And there's other things too, but if, let's say that Arcturian DNA is in my DNA and in many of our DNAs, let's say it's in all our DNAs, but maybe to some and more than others. And so there's a higher level of active DNA in certain ones of us that happens to be sourced from Arcturus, people from Arcturus at some point in our lineage history. And so we are just more in tune with resonating with that aspect of ourselves, because it's all us, or it's still me. I'm not blue-skinned and whatever. But I do, however, when in meditations and stuff, and Frank will talk about this too, like this has always been really significant to me growing up. Find out through the Christian paradigm, this is the symbol they do when they do the Aaronic blessing. They do this over the people, right? And so in my experiences, and Frank's too, like the Arcturians have like 3 fingers or 3 hands. And like when I'm tuning into that, sometimes when I'm doing movements or even body work, sometimes like during a meditation, my hands will be like this, and I can feel my epigenetic expression. It's the only way I can describe it, from inside of me, shape-shifting, if you will, into the Arcturian facets of me. And that seems like there's awarenesses of what that means, or just in that moment, what matters to me in that moment with that dynamic for what's relevant for me right now.
Sure.
Something like
I
that.
think maybe it would be good to go into some things that are more practical about, like, how would I know if I'm related to a star system, or if there is some relation that I already have with that. I know from when we did our live stream, or maybe it was one you did before that, I don't know, I interact in your live streams a lot, and I had people send me messages because I was like, you want to know if you're a starseed or whatever, like, you can message me and I'll tell you some ways to find out. But I got quite a few messages about, like, what are practical ways to be able to do that. So what are some ways that you guys have felt in your life kind of pointed you that you were resonant with some kind of star system or other type of basically astrological object?
Do it, Claudia.
So I just think it's so hilarious what you said, Aaron, about the fingers, because so this is why it's so important for us to talk about this and for us to have these spaces, right? Because so as a child, I used to tape my fingers together because it felt good. It felt good. Like, this is so dorky, but I just like, and now that you're saying this, I'm like, oh, you know, like this aha moment.
Totally.
I've never like connected the dots until now. So like, that's just like my super geeky childhood, because it just felt good. And you know, maybe we did it, like we were in those bodies definitely at one point, right? And so
are the Vulcans, apparently. Live long and prosper, baby.
So like, in terms of how can you know if you're Arcturian or like Venusian or Pleiadian? Well, you're everything. Like what Aaron was saying, you are everything, and we all have a part of all the star seeds in us, and you just have a particular more characteristic of one, you know? So I think how can people know if they are Arcturian or Pleiadian is see if it resonates with you, you know? Like, you can go down the rabbit hole and research all the different star seeds and see which one really rings to your heart the most. And a lot of the times you're gonna find that you resonate with two, and that's totally normal. You know, like your mom's probably from Puerto Rico and Germany, like we were talking about, right? And so you definitely have different sort of star seed ancestry in you. So just pay attention to what resonates with you. The numbers is a big thing. If you see angel numbers a lot, the Arcturians love to communicate via numbers. If you're super into numerology, it's likely that you have a very strong Arcturian connection. Also, if you see blue little people or like tall people or skinny, like for me, they appear themselves as like very thin and blue. I don't know if you want to put up a picture of the Arcturians so people can, you know, familiarize themselves with that. But
is there any three-fingered Arcturian pictures? I've never thought to even look. Is that a thing?
Specifically search for three-fingered Arcturian. We'll check it out.
I'm sure it's in the Google somewhere.
Yeah, somebody drew it. Somebody misinterpreted what they were saying and drew 4 fingers one time. They just were thinking about it wrong. It's really 3.
This is one
three is a
really
number
common
alchemy
image.
too, you know?
Yeah,
when
talk
you
about 3.
about it. Yeah, like
what's
3
to
is
you?
like 3 to me. Like I practice alchemy, and so alchemy is like an energy modality that you use to transmute energy. And so 3 is just such a powerful number for alchemy. And again, you have the mind, the body, the spirit, you know, and so you always have these 3s, the Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son, the 3, right? It's always everything's in 3s. Isis, Horus, Osiris, right? Like everything's in 3s. So I mean, I just think that's fascinating. So here, you guys, if you guys have ever seen this in your meditations, then that's the Arcturians trying to connect with you.
I should know also another group that is commonly associated with the Arcturians are things that they kind of look, well, they're oftentimes even just called light beings, but there will be like humanoid shape, very humanoid, but they seem to be like kind of shining from the inside with a light, or seem to be kind of mercurial. These are really common for people who feel like they're Arcturian as well, especially people who resonate like a lot like with the stuff I was talking about, because these seem to be the ones that really like the technology real big time.
So if we're going to parse nuances here, so what's really interesting here, we organically made that connection, Claudia, with you with your childhood and the 3 fingers thing, and I was pulling in also dynamics with Frank. He says totally own experiences, has nothing to do with ever seeing Arcturian images, whatever. These are own personal experiences. So we found like a resonance there. Then we find an Arcturian picture. He's got five fingers. Why do you guys think that is?
Well,
Probably
just like
because we drew him.
I
So
mean,
what
there's
happens
that,
there?
but then there's also so many different types of Arcturians themselves. You know, it's
Yeah,
not
talk about
like
it.
there's like where you have Europe, right? There's so many types of different Europeans. It's the same thing. Like the Pleiades. The Pleiades are so many different stars, right? So it's not like Arcturians manifest themselves in this one way, right? Like some people see them as short little aliens. Other people see them as tall. You know, to me, they appear themselves very thin and tall.
Interestingly enough, this right here that's on the screen was actually found in Nazca, Peru, which is known for the Nazca lines, which a lot of people believe were some type of potentially a contact with otherworldly, or at least something in the sky, given the size of them. So it is very interesting. But the 5 fingers, probably us placing a human on them.
Okay, as a side note, because you said Nazca lines, and then happened to somehow synchronistically pull into this whole Arcturian conversation. And recently, so when I was on Lucy and laying down looking at the stars at night, bright stars out, it looked like it wasn't the normal constellations. It was like the Nazca lines. The Nazca, it was a totally different star set that I was seeing on the sky in the overlay. So it's just funny, and that's what came to mind, the Nazca lines. That's interesting.
That is.
It is.
Is there anything else that's really stood out to you about basically the starseed process, or anything like draws to things? Like I've personally felt like, well, almost like a star is like looking at me, but it's kind of more like a feeling of where the star is. That has really led me to a lot of places where I feel like I've had coherent experiences connecting with energies from a star. Have you guys noticed like anything like that, like feeling kind of a draw to the star, or always kind of catching yourself looking at it in the sky or anything like that?
I know when so since we were talking about this the other night, but like the star overlay apps, the constellation overlay apps and stuff. So when I was learning to just find it through the app without like trying to tune in or anything, but when I would find it, or I would find the Big Dipper and knew that it was at the end of the tail or whatever, every time I come to it though, everything inside of me goes, "Oh yeah, that's where you are. You should be there." It's just like, yeah, that's the right spot. You're like, "Oh, there you are." And then checks out, I've got the Stephen Greer, the green laser pointers. $10 on eBay, by the way, people. These are like, I've literally bought maybe half a dozen or 8, and I've given some away. Gave one to Kevin Grooms. I don't know if he's in here tonight. And we saw him we were doing the road trip through Serpent Mound in Washington, D.C. and about a month ago doing all that when everything was shut down. It was awesome. But the green laser pointers, they'll draw a line from the pointer to the stars. Wow. Like I've done this all over. It like on this road trip, anywhere I've gone. So I don't know if it's an atmospheric thing or humidity. Anywhere I go, it's the green. The red and blue they don't show up as well. It's the green. They're $10, right? Anyway, so what I often do, like, 'cause I check boilers for a living. I do commercial boilers and heating systems. So I check a lot of different buildings all over the city. I've been on most of the rooftops in the city. Pictures I've done over the years. I've done so much when I started really waking up to all this stuff. I made my own organite and gridded like all over the city, just intuitively off of and just joyfully doing these things, even though this is all by myself. Wasn't talking to anybody. I was just learning things and doing things. Anyway, so often on the rooftops, I'll put the laser pointer on Arcturus or Pleiades or wherever I'm intentionally engaging, and I'll either do like Morse code and just like I love you, like I love you, or they'll draw a little heart around them or whatever, and it's like what's cool about that is anybody in the city, literally, if they happen to be gazing that direction, is going to see that.
Yeah. If you guys didn't know, Aaron is a 6'6" tall little kid. So he's 33 years old, but he's like 5.
34. I just turned 34, my friend, 2 weeks ago today.
Oh man.
7, which is 7. Yeah, don't get me started on my year numbers the last year. I'll break down all the numbers for you.
So Claudia, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about with them? I also brought this other image up here. These are 3 different, well, kind of renditions of things that people have attributed to Arcturians over time. The one in the center is very much like what I was talking about. These blue ones on the right oftentimes get associated with healing stuff. You ever hear somebody talk about like blue ray or violet ray? It's almost always these ones on the right, and the ones on the left, which honestly I think you can kind of pick it up from the way that they look, they oftentimes are about relations and diplomacy and things like this. So but you don't hear about really a lot of interaction with them, with like, well, standard people who like live standard life. If you were to have like diplomatic interface though, or you were some type of diplomatic level, it wouldn't be shocking to kind of interface with these things for sure. So Yeah. I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we started the meditation, Claudia?
Yeah, well, Lauren is saying in the comments how she had a dream that she communicated with a short blue alien via telepathy, and I think you brought that up too, Zach. So telepathy is one of them is how Arcturians communicate. So if you have very strong telepathic abilities, which basically means, like, let's say you're thinking about a friend and then they text you like 30 seconds later, then you have telepathy. And so I think that's a big also factor. If you're thinking, oh, am I Arcturian plating blah blah blah, well, that's a good indicator to show that, you know, you're likely Arcturian, like, or at least a portion of it. Telepathy is huge, and me and you were talking about that, Zach, how like the telepathy has just been on point. Like I feel like now I don't even have to talk to my partner. I feel like we just are just on the same wavelength, that I'm just sending my signal out, you know? And that's something I've definitely connected, how I connect with the Arcturians, like in my meditations and my practices. Something that people may have experienced that. So I actually, again, this is like another aha moment I had with the Arcturians. So I'm a part of a healing community. And so we were talking about the Arcturians. And so I was saying that I called them in into my space, and they came in threes. Oh my gosh, I just realized this. And now you have three. Like, wow, that's wild. So, and again, you know, alchemy, the three fingers, like, so much synchronicity.
So many
there.
threes.
Exactly. And so what I was saying is, like, I was telling them how I was sort of bringing in the Arcturians, just to share, like, if they have any information for me for my highest good. And then they gave me alien juice. And so, like, I was literally drinking alien juice, and then my throat
Can you define
chakra,
alien juice real quick? Like,
Okay.
can we get more info on alien juice?
like
Please.
they literally just gave me a drink, and then so
Okay.
I was like, okay, and so I drank it.
You didn't pay any attention to like the consistency or anything like that? You just threw
The
it back?
blue.
I mean,
Was it like bubble tea? That
no,
was
it
like
was
little
not.
snot
No,
bubbles
it
in
was
it.
not bubble tea. It was smooth. It was smooth. No, it was not like bubble tea. It was very smooth. Like, it was very liquidy. Like, sort of. It didn't. I didn't really taste a flavor with it. I just sort of like, okay, let me just drink it. And so after I drank it, like, my throat chakra started to sort of feel like energy moving around, right? And so at the time I was like, okay, this is super weird that you know, again, this is a big thing that we all have. Like, did I make this up, right? And so I shared that experience with the group, and they were like, oh my God, they gave me something to drink too. And I was like, oh wow, okay. So, you know, I was actually connecting with them. So this is just something that, again, it's so important for us to connect and to share our experiences, because, like, a lot of the time, even in that video that you showed in the beginning, like how the CIA is so interested in telepathy and consciousness, and they actually want you to think you're crazy. Like, they're calling us woo-woo and crazy because that's how powerful
You're
this
not.
stuff is.
You're not crazy.
You're definitely not crazy. No.
I feel like, I personally feel like if you're not crazy in this society, then something's wrong with you. Like, something is wrong with you if you think this world is normal. But basically, that was just like a super like aha moment, you know? Like, so if they bring something to you to drink, it's healing. So for me, they were cleansing something in my throat chakra. So we'll see what maybe you guys will get alien juice in our meditation.
And so when you got the alien juice, what was those entities that provided this to you? What did they look like?
No, so it was like three beings like this, and they were very thin. They were very thin, and they were blue, and they were very of course they were loving, but they felt more like we were just connected with the Lyrans, right, Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
So the Lyrans, like, you can feel the love, like, you instantly feel the love, the bliss, right? With the Arcturians, yes, you feel the love, but it's also like very serious. you know,
Yeah, sober.
like I was there. That's why when they gave me the drink, and I was like, okay, like, you know, why not?
Did you notice an effect on your throat after that in the human realm?
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying, right? Like my there was energy moving around my throat, and my throat was like cleansing. So I was coughing a lot after. So that's usually a sign for you guys if you're moving energy around, if you're coughing or you're burping, or even if you're going to pee, like you are moving energy around, right?
If there's stuff coming out of you, there's reasons, and they're beyond just physiological ones. So hey, we got Frank Castle joined onto the show now, who runs the Fearless community. Frank, we're super happy to have you. And we got Paula here with you as well. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're good.
Thanks so much for having us.
Cool. If you guys can, do you have any way to kick your audio levels up just a bit? I feel like you guys are a little quieter than the other microphones.
How's that?
That is much better to me. Does that seem good to everybody else?
Paula might just have to step up her mic control game like she's been stepping up her joint rolling game.
All right, so Frank and Paula, we had touched on so far basically just some of what we have noticed about what Arcturian energy is about, and some ways that we've kind of connected to it and knew that we were connected to really just star systems in general. And do you guys have anything to share on those topics?
I always have stuff to share on that topic. First of all, I want to say thank you for having us on the show. I just went through on my show, we had Aaron on, and we were on Fearless. And then I activated my Kundalini live on air, right? And as it was happening, I was aware of it. We were discussing what happened when Aaron was here in my house. I was under ayahuasca, and he hit the tuning fork, and it like healed the injury I just went through under the Aya situation. I was reborn. But we were talking about the prayer is the thought,
is the feeling,
the feeling. Right. And it was kicking back to me at the moment, and I felt it climbing. We were talking about my spine, how it's the 33. And then there was 33 people in the room listening, and I felt it climb. And I said, the other night I did the exercises and it broke open. It went 33 up my back when I was using the little ball thing on my back. And I activated, and the last time I did this, it blew out of me, and I had a very rough experience, but it held in, and I said, stay in. But when I was just outside, I had to take a break after the show and go ground outside. They were like, you just did a meditation. You're grounded. You're good. You needed to raise your frequency for this conversation that's coming up right now. And I'm all shaky still. I'm holding it in, and it feels really awesome. And as you're talking, my experience was with the beings, the Arcturians. I keep doing this thing with my hand. I'll do it here, right? Like the Spock. Yeah, I don't know why it's happening and everything. And then the being on the dark purple one on the screen with us, they were coming through the sun, and there were ships coming through, and I was like, what's happening? And it was during a meditation, and they flew right up to me, and they were like, oh, look who it is. You ready to make contact? And I said, well, I guess it's me versus you. I'm here to not let you guys take over and everything. They were like, he has no clue what's happening. They were very curious. They were making fun of me a little bit. And then I said, they were like, do you know what we're doing here? And I said, no. And they're like, you don't feel the checkpoint just yet? And boom, it happened. And I said, no, I'm supposed to meet someone here. Yeah, I'm not supposed to save the universe. We're saving Earth right now. And I started babbling. And then I go, I was Pleiadian once. And they said, yes, you were. And I said, oh, I was a giant cat being as well, a big white one. They would go, yes, you were. And the other one of them says to the other, he still has no clue. And I said, you have 3 fingers like that. They were long. And I said, I think I make the connection. And they were like, bravo. And they were like a little stiff about it, but funny. And I'm like, wait a second. And they were like, come on, we're your contact. You're Arcturian. Let's go, kid. And they brought me up into it. And outside, they just said to me, we can't have this conversation unless you break that frequency tonight. So this is going to be I felt really intense about being with everyone and hearing the conversation.
Okay. Well, adding to intensity or adding a softness of intensity. I've been crying for the last little bit, man, because this is beautiful. Right? Like, fuck, man, This is one of the most beautiful moments in my life. This conversation, all the synchronicities, all just the connection. Man, we have like what, 53 viewers, an infinity loop, an infinity sign of energy. It's 4 of us, like this whole thing, just to create a space to have these dialogues, man, and just dive into it and be ourselves, whatever that means, because we're still figuring it out too, man.
Yeah,
So it's funny, when you said that, 53 viewers, we have 5 people here and three people here. 53.
Yeah, we do. Come on, man. It's just cool, man. So yeah, I'm stoked. Let's just dive in. Let's keep growing.
Well, it's in everything now. I think that's the awareness. And every time we go, oh, check it. I'm aware, like 11:11 popped up on the show. And I said, it's 11:11. Stop. We're going to stop everything. We're going to meditate. We're going to have a moment. You're more and more that we tune in and do stuff like this. It's like a responsibility to it. And it just happens again. It's like the universe will give you another one and another one and another one, as long as you maintain that awareness with it. And if you don't, it'll start throwing hints at you from every direction.
Right. That you're not getting it right.
Yeah. Right. Look over here. Look from up here. Right. Do it differently. Don't take this over there. You can't take this with you. Get rid of this now. Right. Like, as you're shaking and talking about it, I'm thinking of like how we just spoke about my dad, right? I just let it go and said, I love you, instead of holding on to the nonsense. I'm like, you already reached out. You already did. It's done. Just say it. And I felt my higher self going, just do it. Stop gripping on. And the minute I let go, I went through the 3 days of this weird panic and anxiety, and I didn't know what was happening. The world was ending. And then boom, woke up today. It was actually yesterday. And then it was fantastic. And now tonight is beyond anything I could have hoped for. And you brought me back into it. The 3 of us did it because you were there as well.
Right. Because you're holding all that negative space.
Right.
There's no room for
There's no more room for it. Right. And you might feel like you have Swiss cheese of I got holes in me now because all the stuff was removed, or you're taking something from me. It's like, no, we're not taking anything. You just can't take this in your physical frame into this new energy. You could still think about it if that's what you want to do, but you're not going to want to. And it's like, yo, you're right. Because once it's removed, now I'm light.
Right.
And I felt like I was going to float out the door a minute ago. They were like, this is how you should feel all the time. Right? This is the charge of you, the infinite charge, the loop.
Speaking of floating out the door, it feels like now that we got everybody here, it would be a perfect time to have Claudia go ahead and lead us on a meditation, and we'll tap in further and float out the door, so to speak, and really connect in, and then we can continue this conversation even more tapped in. How do you guys feel about that?
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just like to talk about the 3s, right? Even before Paula and Frank joined, we were literally talking about alchemy, 3s, the 3 numbers. People on the chat are saying that their life path is 33. I had 33 people in my class before this live, you know. So and it sounds like Frank, Paula, and Aaron had a 3-way conversation, and me and Zach and Aaron were having a 3-way conversation, right? And again, the more that you follow and ride this wave, the more of this synchronicity will happen. So I want to talk about what Zach just messaged me. You said that Arcturus is spinning at what speed?
Well, it spins in the neighborhood of 1,500 miles a second. Okay. And so due to some various different calculations to save time, I decided, and this really feels good to me, this thing right here, it's at 285 hertz itself. Basically how I do this when I'm trying to tune in with stars, if I'm going to be really precise, I just use sine waves. All truth be told, I wanted something with a visual, and numbers are approximations. So close is good enough. So I will look at how fast a star rotates, and then I will take, generally they're pretty fast. So I take, in the case of Arcturus, like 1/10 of that, so divide it by 10, which would give me the number 150. That's a completely acceptable tone as well, but then you can also double that or triple that. Any type of normal logical progression of that functionally gets you tapped into basically the same energy. So what we're going to play in the back is basically just it's a marimba track, really, that's really close to the same, based off of these functions, as the tuning of Arcturus. And along with Claudia's guidance and all of our intention, we'll be able to work together to tune all of this energy in to create a very strong connection with this type of energy. And I am very excited and ready to get started whenever you are. I mean, did you have more questions or?
No, so I just wanted to remind people, if you have crystals, try to grab your blue crystals, because we're going to be connecting with the Arcturians. So try to grab blue crystals if you have them. If you don't have crystals at all, that's not a problem. You're still going to benefit from this. If you have any crystals, like for the higher chakras, like heart chakra up to crown chakra, like amethyst, quartz, selenite, any of those crystals will help you. And I just, also Martin Liu just joined, and he said he donated 33 to someone, and he said, what a coincidence. Mm-hmm. Well, that's actually a synchronicity. You know, you're meant to be on this call, right. And you're here for a reason. And everybody who's here right now, we're all about to connect with each other, but also with our Starseed family, which is everyone here. And so if you have essential oils, now is a good time also to grab your essential oils. Just put a few drops on your palms and just rub your palms together. It's okay if you don't have any of this. We're just gonna take a few deep breaths, okay? So we're just gonna start off with a little bit of grounding. So just and if you don't have any crystals or if you don't have essential oils, just place your hands on your heart, okay? So we're gonna start off taking some deep belly breaths. Take a deep breath in, hold, and gently exhale. Taking a deep belly breath in, hold, and gently exhale. And drink some water if you have some water with you. They just wanted me to remind you that. So don't look at the screen. Try to lay down if you can, or just, sit in a comfortable position. So I'm going to invite you now to just close your eyes. And you're going to take a deep belly breath in. Hold. And gently exhale. Beautiful. Taking another deep breath in. Sending this breath to all of the cells in the body. And sending the breath to anywhere in the body where it needs to go. So I'm going to invite you to keep your eyes closed. And you're going to look slightly up, like you're looking up at your third eye. And just do this very gently. Just do this in a relaxing way. Do not strain the eyes. And this is going to put your brain in a theta brainwave state so that you can connect deeper with your infinite wisdom. Taking a deep belly breath in. And exhaling out. Now I'm going to invite you to place your tongue at the roof of your mouth. And this is going to help you create more saliva in your body so that whatever activations or healings that we may receive in these next 20 minutes, we'll be able to integrate them much faster with more water. Beautiful. Take a deep belly breath in. Hold. And gently exhale out. Beautiful. Now, if you're laying down, I'm going to invite you to place your hands on your heart. And just try to sync up your breath to your heartbeat. Taking a deep belly breath in. Hold. And gently exhale. Beautiful. Now I'm going to invite you to visualize that you are sitting or laying inside of a gorgeous gold pyramid. And as you visualize this gold pyramid around you, you're setting the intention that only the highest vibrations for your highest good will come in through this pyramid. And the reason why we're using gold is because gold represents power. And in these next 20 minutes, you're going to be connecting with your power and connecting with the power of the Arcturians. Taking a deep breath in and gently exhaling out. Beautiful. Now you might start to feel some pulsations all over your body. Just observe and be aware. Surrender to this present moment and know that you are ready to receive all of this wisdom. Now I'm going to invite you to visualize that the sun is above your head. And as you inhale, you're inhaling its gorgeous, cleansing gold light. So you inhale gold light from the top of the head and sending this cleansing light down through the hair follicles, down through the forehead, removing and releasing all tension, all worries, all doubts. Beautiful. Breathing in gold light. And we're just going to cleanse our physical and energetic bodies of all energies that are no longer serving us, so that we can receive more from the Arcturians. Breathing in gold light. Sending this gold light down through the eyes, releasing all the tension in the eyes, down in through the mouth, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders. And as you exhale, you're exhaling a gray color. And this represents all the negative energy that you're releasing. Breathing in gold light. Sending it into the chest, releasing all our pain, all our anxieties, all our fears, all our self-doubt. Beautiful. Breathing in gold light. Sending this gold light into the stomach, gently washing away all energies that don't belong to us across space, time, and all dimensions. Breathing in gold light. And send this gold light into the hips. Relax the hips, relax the thighs, relax the knees. Wash away all the energy that no longer serves you. Beautiful. Now I'm going to invite you to focus on your aura. So just focus on the space around you, around your physical body. So focusing 1 feet around your entire physical body, 360 degrees. Breathe in gold light. And exhale to cleanse anything from your aura that's not yours. Breathing in gold light. And sending this gold light into our entire aura and releasing all energies that don't serve our highest good. And you can literally see gray gunk evaporating out of your energetic and physical body. Beautiful. Now I'm going to invite you to remember to look slightly up, like you're looking up at your third eye, and just do it gently. And take a deep breath, the most delicious breath you've taken all day. And exhale out through your heart. Beautiful. Now focusing on the heart space, you're going to inhale gold light, and you're going to cleanse your heart chakra. So just exhale out all the anxieties, all the worries, all the fears, all the doubts. Feeling the heart space become more expanded, more light. As we release all our worries and fears. Beautiful. Now you're going to open your heart chakra so that you can feel the Arcturians. So we're going to inhale gold light and exhale out through the heart space. Beautiful. And if it helps, you can visualize a gorgeous flower in the center of your chest, opening up petal by petal. And keep exhaling gold light out through your heart chakra until it feels completely expanded and light. Beautiful. You're doing this perfectly. Now I'm going to invite you to send your awareness up to your third eye. So focusing on the center of your forehead, we're going to do the same thing. So you're going to inhale gold light and exhale that gold light out through the third eye. And as you're doing this, you're gently washing away and releasing all your confusion, your self-doubt, all the self-criticism, all of the worries, all of the mental and spiritual blocks that you've perceived. Beautiful. Exhale out again. Out through the third eye. Beautiful. Now focusing on our heart space, we're going to tune into the frequency of gratitude. So just feel gratitude for trusting your intuition to be at this perfect place, at this perfect time. So just feel that gratitude for all of the synchronicities, all of the signs, all of the support, and all of the love that you've received today and this week. Beautiful. Yes, perfect. You guys all opened your heart chakras. Perfect. Now focusing on the heart space, you're going to breathe in the most delicious breath you've taken all week and feel gratitude for this breath, for this life. Beautiful. And focusing on your heart space, you're going to give gratitude for your starseed family. So just give gratitude to all of the Arcturians that are literally waiting for us right now, and so lovingly and patiently waiting for us, and they've always been there for us. And now we're finally ready to connect with them and communicate with them at the most profound level possible. Beautiful. Take another deep breath here. Beautiful. Now focusing on your heart space, we're going to invoke the Arcturians into our sacred space. So focusing on your heart, and know that you're totally and completely safe because you are inside of your sacred shape, inside of your pyramid. And only the highest vibrations for your highest good can come in through this pyramid. So we're going to focus on our heart space, and we're going to take a deep breath of gold light from the top of our head and send it into your heart space. Beautiful. Breathe out through the heart. One more time, breathe in gold light. Send it down through your spine and out through your heart. Expand the heart. Beautiful. And one last time, breathing in gold light from the top of the head, sending it down the spine and out through the heart space. Beautiful. Now I'm going to invite you to repeat this internally. So just repeat this inside of yourself. I invoke the power of the I am in me and connect with the highest vibration of my Arcturian soul family. And now focusing on your heart space, just pay attention to all the sensations in your body. Give gratitude because know that they are with you right now. And pay attention to the sensations on your body, to the feelings, to the thoughts, and just have a conversation with them. Ask them questions. Maybe you want to ask them, what is the most important thing that you need to know right now for your highest good? If you feel called to, you can ask them to take you on their spaceship or to take you to their stars. If you're dealing with any health issues, you can also ask them to help you to heal yourself. Beautiful. Now I'm going to invite you to focus on your third eye and know that you're still with your Starseed family. And now we're going to connect with everybody on this call, with our Starseed family on planet Earth. So just send out a cord from the center of your forehead, from your third eye, and connect it to our matrix, our collective matrix. And know that you can only connect with the highest vibration of our matrix. So focusing your consciousness on our web of consciousness, we're going to give our gratitude to the Arcturians for joining us, for sharing their wisdom, their healing, and guidance with us. And we're going to ask the Arcturians to continue to help us and to guide us so that we can empower ourselves, so that we can heal ourselves, so that we can heal our planet and empower our planet. You just feel the sensations on your body. And we're going to ask the Arcturians to help us to wake up more of our consciousness, to wake up in our hearts, and to continue to help humanity awaken. Beautiful. Now focusing on your third eye, you're just going to bring that cord back into your third eye, bringing that all that wisdom that you just downloaded back into your pineal gland. And we're going to take a deep breath in. Now I'm going to invite you to keep your eyes closed, and you're just going to take a few deep breaths. You're going to return back into the body, slowly wiggle your fingers, slowly wiggle your toes, keeping the eyes closed. And you're going to rub your palms together. So keep your eyes closed. Just rub your palms together until you feel heat. So keep rubbing your palms. Whenever you feel the heat, you're going to place your palms on top of your eyes. And just take a few deep breaths here. Observe the colors, observe the visions, the sensations in your body. And absorb all this knowingness, all of this wisdom, all of this heat, this energy, this healing into every single cell in your body. And know that you will receive all the downloads when you are meant to receive them. And just absorb all this heat, all this energy, all this healing into every cell in your body. Beautiful. And just slowly wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. Take a few deep breaths. Don't open the eyes yet. Just focus on your third eye, on your heart space. And set the intention that you will receive all the downloads when you are meant to receive them for your highest good. And know that you always have access to the Arcturians. You are always connected with them. They are always with you because you are a star. You are that star. You are them. And they are you. Know this. So just take a deep breath of this knowingness. And exhale air. Beautiful. Now keeping the eyes closed, you're just going to breathe in gold light. And we're just going to shine gold light all over our third eye, all over our physical and energetic body. We're just going to cleanse all energies that are not ours across space, time, and all dimensions. Seeing the body glow. Beautiful. And whenever you're ready, just slowly wiggle your fingers. And you can open your eyes whenever you're ready at your own pace. So make sure that you drink some water. So it's very important that we drink water just to integrate everything that just happened. So I saw a lot of blue, like a lot of blue. I felt like they were less stoic this time around. Like I could definitely feel them expanding my heart. I can even feel them expanding my heart now. How did you guys experience that?
There was an awful lot of blue and purple hypnagogic waving the whole time my eyes were closed. So I definitely feel the blue sensation that you're going with there.
It was And they walked right out and said hello. I'm like, my heart opened up and the energy kind of did this thing back and forth. And I was like, it's nice to meet you. They're like, we are you.
Okay, so fast forwarding to continue with the flow of this very somber, beautiful moment to a moment during that whole dynamic. It wasn't as if I was somewhere else. Somewhere else was here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right? And it's like a meditation I had a while back that really broke a lot of belief systems in me and paradigms, realizing now, when I was 1,000,000 points of light, and my different fractals of myself, all conscious in different incarnations or whatever, different forms of expression. And I was present in all of them, and it was just fine. It made sense. You know, it wasn't like, how could that possibly be? It just made sense. So in the same way, it was like what I felt and perceived as me like sitting up out of a pod, if you will, pod being this incarnation, you know, literal or whatever. But seeing myself and feeling myself as the Arcturian and seeing just thousands of other Arcturian beings around. What was interesting in a moment got really emotional. Is this like every generation of every Arcturian that's ever been, and me waking up as even metaphorical in my own psyche and awareness in this moment, coming to a new level of awareness in myself of the DNA that's in me, that's in them, and the resonance that I have with them. And then I'm looking at myself and I'm like, oh, I'm here and I'm aware that I'm here. And they start cheering and I go, this is awesome. And they go, yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, this is awesome. Right. But then staying in that moment and tuning into it and looking who's there, because it just stayed there, didn't move on. And who's there? And there's all sides of people, and they would come up at one at a time, different people, and and I saw that my form would go for all the Arcturian images we went through. I was like, well, which one am I in? Assuming it was one. And then I'd see all of them and more. And they're like, yeah, that's you, the human, the mutt DNA. Like there's everything in you. So all of them, just by bringing our awareness to them and just staying in that moment, having them come out of the line, different ones, put like a badge on my chest. But when they put their hand on it, it would melt into my chest and like melt into my DNA and just bring like a frequency to my DNA or a coherence. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff, man.
In the golden light, there were kings and queens staring back at us. And I say us because we were, when it shimmered, I was like sitting across from other people. And I'm like, wait a second, I know all of you. And then there was like in the background, in the actual color itself, as it changed, there were like kings and queens staring at us like proud. I can't explain it. It was like a pulsating background, and they were like all happy that we were doing this. And I couldn't tell if that was us or me looking back at myself, both masculine and feminine. Wow, this is powerful.
Sorry, Paul, please share.
Oh, I'm sorry. My third eye, my head is pulsating so hard right now, and the blue and the green coming through the blue. And I understand what you mean about we're not there. We brought it here because I was not here. I wasn't there, but there was here. And yeah. I feel I can't focus my eyes. I can't focus.
That has to be anchoring the frequency, right? That's like when you anchor it here. I can't
look at anyone directly
instead of going there.
Yeah.
I feel like
on the anchoring dynamic, because that ties in. We can tie it in too. When you and I smoked DMT and Paula and Angela a month ago at your place, and we decided the intention going into that was to stay present in our bodies. We did it. We rolled it in. We rolled into a joint. So I call it chameleon leaf, and we rolled that around, and we kept having just these conversations we were having, just organic, whatever. We loved each other. We were present. We were just connecting. And then it began to shift. But the intention was to stay in our bodies, stay conscious, and pull it into us instead of going to a different place. And so, and what we talked about in that, Frank, you saw us as kings and queens, right? And in this end of what I left off at, when it was time for me to return back just to being more present right here in this conversation, although even in my awareness now, I'm also present there. It just makes sense. But when I went to go sit back down, it wasn't sitting into a pod, it was sitting onto a throne. You are the kings and the queens of the earth. Beautiful.
100%. Yeah. And people are writing in the comments, so please tell us what messages you got. And I left a lot of space there on purpose for you guys to ask questions and talk to them. So let us know in the comments what messages you all got. And so a lot of people are crying. That's really, really good. That's a really great sign. Please just make sure you drink a lot of water, because you're like releasing. So you need to like nourish yourself. When you're drinking water, just bless it. Bless it with healing, with love. That'll help you to integrate that a lot too. What you were saying, Aaron, about like being in the present, right? Not going elsewhere. Like, so I just taught an astral projection class before jumping on here. And originally I was going to get us all to astral project to Arcturus. But then I was like, that doesn't feel right. So instead I wanted to bring them to us, but also it's not like they're out there, like they're inside of us. Like we are them and they are us, And so this is just so I'm happy you said that, because I was having a really battle with myself. I'm like, oh, I promised them I'll take them to astral travel, but that's kind of not what is needed right now.
Beautiful.
So
and to affirm what you said too during that dynamic view, because I left probably 15 minutes into that meditation, or that at the end of your class. But that's what I was feeling, was the same thing. And so it's funny you just say that too, like that during that whole time, it was here with me. The realm was around me. To me, that's a real reality, a real realm, quantum realm, another dimension, whatever, another frequency. So if we're the antenna, the Wi-Fi router, or depending on how I see that, we're the anchor point for that realm. When we tune into it, it just manifests around us, but also within our DNA. Epigenetic expression is a magical technology. True story. There's so many people in the comments. This whole thing is so beautiful. Just I know I think Zach's been cycling through different comments. People are really connecting. This is the heart of what we want to do. Seven Bomar talks about the desire to, what makes a person glorious is that he makes those around them glorious, or he finds the glory in them, finds the uniqueness in others. So we're figuring out our own uniqueness. We happen to be in an age in technology where we're just talking about it on camera, and you're watching us cry and have some of the most beautiful moments of our own life. And that you can also, by watching and participating. That's why we're doing it every night at 8. We're just gonna kind of do this organically. And someone else in the comments, I'll just mention this because we're engaging it all. Somebody's like, is this all they do is meditate? I'm out of here. Right? It's so funny. Dude, I love you. That's fine. Everybody's here for different things. It's totally fine. But to me, I thought it was so beautiful.
I don't think they were meant to be here, to be honest. Like,
and if they come back for the discussion, then that's great. If that's what resonates with them that time, that's totally fine. You don't have to like everything, but I think it's cool because I was just trying to think of the dynamic. By the way, there was 55 viewers. There's 5 of us in the window. It's the 5th episode that we've done this podcast. 5 in Hebrew is hey, which means to be put on display or behold or a window, right? And then 5, 5, 5, 5 is 20 is 2, which is 2 in Hebrew is bait, which is the second letter, which is a picture image of an innermost room. So we're being put on display, the innermost parts of our DNA, to the Arcturian frequency. How cool is that shit?
That.
It's also the 25th today of April.
Yay. Isn't this dream so fun? Isn't the simulation so fun? So Jasmine in the comments is saying the message I got was to be present, to focus, and I asked to go on their ship, and they said right now wasn't the time, and that what we're doing now was what we need. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm so happy we all got these confirmations.
Yes, it's another one right here. They said I was in the right place at the right time. I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
Definitely, you all are. If you're here, you're definitely on the right track.
And that was very strong too. And the dynamic at one point was I could feel from our collective. So with the realm dynamic, so there's also the realm that we're entering, and anyone who not just is tuning into this meditation now, but who will in the future, because now we've entered it into 3D time, into digital space. And that's all one realm we're creating in this video. So that's everyone that would tune into that. Could be thousands or millions over time. Who knows, right? So that's creating a realm, though. So I'm aware that a realm is around us and tuning into it. And I could feel people who just wanted to go home. They're just done. They're like, even in that meditation, they want to leave their body behind. When this meditation's over, their body's not breathing. They're home, you know? Like, I want to know that I want you to know I feel that. Like, I understand, man. Like,
you know what I noticed? I noticed one of the when I was on LSD once, it turned golden yellow in my mind, right? And it blasted me. And I felt like I just did that without anything. And we've been discussing doing that all week, Aaron.
Yeah.
Being able to just hold that spot. And it was like holding that frequency was being like on the ultimate psychedelic experience. The colors were insane.
I'm still affected. I can't focus. I'm gonna have to drop off. And I love you all. It's not that.
Yeah.
I am.
Love you, Paula.
There's so much stimulation right now. I don't know if I want to laugh or cry or I have this insane. I feel like the front of my head is gonna crack open, and I want it. I want it to happen.
Yeah, like ripping right out.
Yeah, do it.
Just feel. I think it's very important for all of us to like also ground, because that was a lot of energy, like a lot of energy. So it's very important for us to ground. So just take, so everybody like do what you need to do to just like integrate this energy. And definitely drink some water. And again, what someone in the comments was saying that like talking about like I asked to board, someone said again, I asked to board their ship and they said I wasn't ready here yet. I said you are here regardless, and felt a flush of tingles and love. So everyone, you kind of did ride the spaceship, to be honest. You kind of did.
Yeah.
And so just, anchor that in your body. And I recorded this meditation if you guys want to listen to it again. So thank you so much, Paula, for joining us.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this again. I just have to go lay down. But thank you. And thank you for all of the work that you're doing. It's beautiful. It really is. And I love you all.
I'm going to go.
We're going to start doing this every Sunday with a different star system. That's what I want to do. I don't know whether Golden Age Alchemy is always going to be here or not, but we're definitely going to try and do this every Sunday with a different star system. So if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, definitely come back for that. And we're on every night at 8 o'clock, not always doing meditations, but talking about weird stuff. And we're happy to field your comments and kind of tune the conversation towards whatever it is really that you want to talk about. We just like to talk about weird stuff. So as far as like confirmations, like that was like such a physiologically overwhelming meditation for me personally. And then also like after, I just felt so drawn to go outside. And when I walked out my door and looked east, which was the direction that I was meditating, there's only like one star that you can really see in the sky because I'm in Riverside, so it's kind of bright around here, and it's fucking Arcturus.
Bet it is.
So someone's saying that they can't stand up. Okay, just like it's very important that you ground into your body. So everybody like grab a black crystal if you have one. Use something. Just really ground in your body. That's very, very important. So somebody in the comments is saying someone's saying that they couldn't see them. They felt them, but they couldn't see them. Okay, you don't need to see them. Okay, that's not everybody needs to see stuff. You just need to, like, some people feel, some people hear, some people like know, right? Like the telepathy thing. So you don't have to see in order to be with them. Okay, that they're there.
And on that same resonance, so if we talked about earlier, the feeling is the prayer. So for me, the reason I didn't go somewhere, it was here, is because I was trying to use so like when I was following your meditation, I think, we all do this maybe to some degree in our own ways. So I was following you were using words and imagery to convey an energy, right? That's why you can do a million meditations in a million ways and all get to Arcturus. And then they can go in a million nuanced ways based on choice and just the flow of energy in the moment. But I saw the point you're trying to connect us to, the energy you're describing. So I just connected that on my own, but I'd feel it in my body. I'd try to feel it through every cell of my body. And then as I'd be there and explore that and be with the group, and then we go to the next energy point. but and breathing in the golden light too, it wasn't just the chakras or the nervous system. I was also, in addition to that, breathing it through like every cell of my skin, in and out, like every part of this vessel that I'm inhabiting, to feel, sense, perceive what's being discussed, the energy that's being discussed. So then from there, images and things in my mind will come often, but it seems more valuable to me, the whole visceral experience. Like, you know, Zach was asking earlier, what kind of fluid are you drinking and what it tastes like and what it looked like. Like the more intentional and the more intentional we can be to try to add sensory layers, I feel like, to that experience, the more real it actually is in ourselves.
Well, that's really what visceral is, right? That it captivates a lot of sensory experiences simultaneously.
Thank you.
And that's really like kind of what real is. We could say that real, as we a lot of times talk about, it isn't actually real, but actually like visceral. We want something that's like an indulgent sensory experience rather than just an experience, because any experience is technically real.
Yeah.
My head is still pulsing, like mine is like wah 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 wah. I just like to take for a second, like I'm so excited right now. I can't even tell how excited I am. Like what's happening right here? Like even doing this, I've thought about stuff like this for literally like 20 years of my life, and I can't believe that my life, in terms of like I've been in video games and live streaming and all this weird stuff, that it all came together into this, and this is what I'm doing with my life right now. This is so amazing. I'm just unbelievably excited right now.
Beautiful. Come on, man. That childlike
for a reason.
Childlike excitement, really finding joy with tribe. Really beautiful.
So people are saying, is it normal to feel so hungry after meditating? Yes, I always eat after I meditate. So that'll help you to ground the energies too. So I don't know what your personal experience was like. Some of you guys probably got activation. So if you felt pulsations, tingles in your body, or waves, like really strong waves, then you probably got an activation, and you need to eat in order for you to ground that into your body, into all of your cells, into your DNA. So definitely try to go eat if you're hungry. If you're not hungry, don't force yourself, just drink water. But focus on the breath, like just take very deep breaths over these next few minutes, because we did a lot.
Anytime that you're interfacing with any type of really like medicines at all, and what I really want to say is anytime you go through a purgative experience where you feel any type of energy kind of leaving your body, or you're purposely doing any type of healing modalities, expect to need to kind of nourish that afterwards, because that function really, like while you're trying to obtain some healing, you're trying to get rid of trauma, or you're trying to output something that was already inside, and you're very much so going to want to replace that with consumption. Be aware that everything that you're doing is actually that consumption. So you need to be careful after you do things like that, because you do have a space open, and take your time to reintegrate and do things that are good for you. Like she's saying, drink water, drink good foods, do things that are wholesome for you and really connective.
And to address the comment in there right now, I felt warm while I was meditating. Now I'm freezing. So a lot of that's pathogenic warmth, pathogenic cold. So it's exactly what Zach just said when I was reading it. When you're moving higher frequencies in, that's the warm, things that are resonant with your soul, not just any higher frequency, because there can be ones that just aren't for your benefit right now or you don't need, but the ones that are resonating and moving in new layers of epigenetic expression that's shifting out cellular trauma and cellular memory, and even in our nervous system. So grounding, smoking, even though it's not great, whatever, it's grounding to the body and being able to integrate and let the traumas through. So being able to get on the ground, or put one of the biggest things, Andrew Bartzis has talked about this since like 2013. You can get a bag of Himalayan salt, put silver in there and some sage, or really whatever you think of the actual science of it, but the negative ions just in the salt. Put it on the back of your neck when you go to sleep, or on your eyes. Or I've got salt blocks for different reasons. I got a bunch of them. It's in my my trip kit, right? Trip sitting kit or whatever, shamaning kit. Because it's one of the, like any experience where I started to get over anxious, or just that dissonance, or you're not sure how to pass things through, putting the salt block on my chest, on my heart, like the negative ions and all that, it balances out your cerebral spinal fluid, which is the fluid, super fluid, that carries our sensory perception organs, which is our nervous system, primarily.
So Munchies with Mellow is saying, I feel like I just ate a super strong edible.
Yeah.
So that's the power that you have inside. You know, you can get high off of your own molecules. You know, we don't necessarily need stuff outside of us. You can use what you just experienced, right? And for me, what was very important is to have you guys the space, like, to get answers from the Arcturians themselves. In my meditations, I don't usually leave that much space, but I felt like that was necessary because you guys are all connected to them and you always have this connection with them. If you guys are having like ear ringing, like Chauvin, like, then that's sort of like your clear audience opening up. So just try to pay attention to the signals, you know, ask the Arcturians or the spirit guides that you work with to help you to hear that message in a way that you will understand.
All right, I just want to validate my bad habit here. Will Beaver says, I'm smoking right now in my backyard and laughing. It is funny, man. We've all got our things, right? What matters is how we're connecting. It's beautiful. It's cool.
Yeah, and also, like, try to make tea with cannabis or try to eat it, you know, try to take it in a healthier way, because smoke is not really meant to be in your body. So, you know, make edibles, share it with the family, send us one.
Yeah, yes, send us one. Good call, good plug. That's my favorite plug all night. Send us one.
Thank you for posting
if anybody is wondering about this, subscribing at all, you can click on the channel, or all the links are in the description below to get to 1,000 different places on the internet where you can find more of myself or Frank that I'm going to bring back here because I finally noticed that he's sitting there again. And you can find connections to all of us on there, all the social media platforms. We all do a lot of stuff on social media, have groups and all this stuff. And we're really building a collaborative community where we can always have things like this going on. And we can really kind of always have a place for people to come home to and feel like their voice is heard and that other people speak their language there, even if they like to talk about stuff that most people in their life think is really, really weird. Terrence McKenna said that one of the most important things that we can do in our life is just to find the others, and the others was abstract and just the other people that are like you. And this provides a place for you to find other people like that. All of those links will help you find that. Frank, welcome back. How are you feeling after that meditation?
I feel amazing. My cat, there's 12 of them, but my number one jumped into my lap and I was like, she's all excited. I'm all excited. I have this energy flowing through me. I'm trying to concentrate on one thing, but I feel like I can do 100 things at once right now.
I feel super energized. I gotta say, so if anybody else is feeling super energized in the chat, please let me know. I'm feeling very energized right now.
A cool nuance to that, because I think we're all feeling the same thing. It feels like a coherent energized. It's not like a static wired energized, or at least, you know, like 100 places at the same time. It's coherent, but yeah, there's a lot of energy.
It's so clean and clear. It's just choose what you want to focus on now. And you know, when a kid goes into the store and he just looks up in the colors in Toys R Us and he's like, I think I want aisle 8 with G.I. Joe.
I'll take this aisle.
Right in front of me, right? And you're like, it's Godzilla. Like, wow, right? So something I want to bring out is this was like a topic all week. I had told Aaron once the last time we spoke. I'm not when I communicated with my contacts, they were like, "You're not using your imagination enough. It's the key to the whole thing, right? It drives the whole machine." So no matter how weird and goofy and crazy, it's how you feel and how it's making you feel to get you into the space that you need to be in. They're like, drive that nail home now. They're like, you just cross the finish line with this stuff. It'll be a great reward for you. More imagination. I'm like, man, I'm the comic book guy, right? I'm the fearless guy. I'm this guy. And they were showing me, even inside of that and all the weird stuff and all the great stuff, they're like, you limit yourself. You know, if there's 100 ways you feel to do it, you should be, as a creator, thinking of thousands of other ways that haven't been created yet. They're like, kind of jump into that realm a little bit. They're like, it's all there to be created. And we were talking about Aaron and I going into our space, and like the walls around us were liquid, moving, pulsing. And we were sitting in this safe, sacred space. And I'm like, why is it that they're doing that? Why does everything do that? And it's the infinite probability or possibility that you can just do what you want. It's there ready to be created and molded into what you want. And that's why it pulses and moves and breathes. They're like, you tell it what your intentions are. And I'm like, my intention is to connect to Aaron, right? Boom, space opens up. I'm sitting in it with Aaron. And we're both like, whoa, this is pretty awesome.
Creating an actual quantum realm just from our intention. Because what we put our focus where energy goes, where attention flows. So if we come into coherence, it's not just times 10, times 2. When 2 people come together, it's times 10 quantumly. All right, I mentioned this before in the ancient texts, even the Vedas and the Bible, they have codes. Like a man can put to flight 1,000, but 2 men, 10,000. That makes no sense, except it's quantum science. Come on, man.
Absolutely.
It's all in the codes and the numbers.
I had to learn that the hard way, shamaning, when the demon jumped out, and it was me and another shaman were having an issue keeping the person. It was just beating us up, and we thought we could handle it. And then Paula walked in, and the whole dynamic changed. It was like the triangle that you talked about. It was like we kind of focused this and boom, right around it. And it just went right back into his chest and was sitting there. And then it was like, let's get out of here. And boom, done. I mean, it was literally over. I'm like, really? And they were like, when three or more gather in the name, it's a wrap. There's nothing you can't do. Nothing.
Quick shout out to Joseph Detz. Yes, we do talk about entheogen usage very often on the show. Happy to have you join along whatever ride you're going through. Your additional perceptions and experiences are awesome when you have additional altered physiological senses of perception. Right on. Just want to make sure that that's welcome in this conversation.
Aaron, can you field this one for us? Vanessa here is asking about cannabis use and is it safe? Like, and Frank, I know you know too. Like, how do you guys feel about this, really? And they asked also, you know, even before meditations specifically.
It enhances everything you do. It enhances everything. If you respect it, it could become a beautiful self-sacrament that you have. Everything from packing it to breaking it up to rolling it. Paul and I talk about this all the time. There's this beautiful ritual. Everyone kind of gets excited. You should always be excited for it. It's not doing you any harm. You're going into it with the best intentions. Everyone's going to get happy from it. And then you sit around and do it. And what happens? This happens.
Yeah.
Exactly what we're doing right now.
And right? I think, and it's what Frank expressed, I think is true about any principle. So it overlaps. If you're doing it with joy, you transmute the energy of whatever it is to something that's beneficial for you. So if we're unconscious, I think then the machine just works. You put a chemical in or a prescription or anything. It has these physical effects on your bodies. There's contraindications, blah, 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 blah. We know that our mind and our mood affect those things also. But when you're intentionally engaging, like we've talked about on the show and just kind of putting it out there to potentially offend people, I'm smoking, whatever. When you put your intention into it, I do this with joy. Look, I know the amount of like triggers that's doing in people that I'm smoking. We just did this thing that's so high frequency. And it's like, but he's smoking. And it's like, but I do it with joy, and it's fine.
Tobacco is one of the oldest shamanic plants, man. People in the Amazon have been using tobacco for like 6,000 years.
So I've got all these layers to it. So
it's also moderation, you know, to pull on Aristotle again, moderation in all things. And then, you know, like Aaron is saying, following your heart, and that it can be an enhancer, like Frank is saying. Just make sure, like, if we obsess about things, it's usually a problem, whatever it is. But interfacing with certain types of consumption, they all just provide a different perspective. If you're following your heart and like Willow says here, following your intuition, then you can't actually go wrong. There's not some specific way that you're supposed to walk. There's the way that you end up walking. It's not really actually like, there's one thing that Gary Vaynerchuk says that I think is great, that optimism isn't about the glass being half full or the glass being half empty. It's about knowing what to do with what you got in the glass. At the end of the day, it does not matter what your environment is. It matters what you are choosing to do with it. That goes with what your consumptions are, what you choose to spend your time with, like as far as meditations and checking out awesome podcasts like ours. It's on at 8 o'clock every night, or Frank's it's on Saturday at, I believe it's 6 o'clock. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Or checking out Golden Age Alchemy's content at Golden Age Alchemy on Instagram, or her website of the same name.com. all these things. These are all good things to fill your life with. If you fill your life with these things and you follow your heart around the things that are interesting to you, you will inevitably lead yourself on a path that works for yourself. The idea that there's some kind of guru out there that will do the thing is never actually the case. You're the guru because you're going to choose the path. Guru is a Sanskrit term that really means dispeller of darkness. You're going to dispel your darkness. Other people are going to be around while you dispel your darkness, and you might do some of the same things that they do. Maybe they will look like a guide to you. Maybe you will look like a guide to them. It's all just a big learning interaction. So really, trust your heart, believe in yourself, and really, like, if you ever got questions, we're happy to field them, but trust your heart, even after we answer it.
And
preach, brother Arcturian, preach.
Anything that you learn or take away from these experiences, apply them to your life immediately and watch the change happen right then and there. It's not when we show you the magic, it's when you say, I'm ready, universe, show me the magic. Not
Okay,
when
so think about this.
I'm ready when I'm seeing it. No, you just, universe, I am ready.
Go ahead, Claudia.
And I think it's important, like, to ask for signs, you know, like, ask and it shall be given. You know, you don't have to do this by yourself. Like, just ask for signs, and they will manifest for you, right? This doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to be like wandering around like lost. No, you have this community. There are so many people connecting like this and willing to share their experiences with you, which is, like, I feel one of the most powerful ways to grow spiritually and personally, because when you are like, oh my God, did I really see that angel? Oh, wow, did I really hear that frequency? When you have someone to validate that, it makes you realize, oh, this is real, you know? Like, when I drank that alien juice, it was like, oh, okay, this is real, you know? This is what the Arcturians do. And so definitely, like, ask for signs, because this is not meant to be like a confusing game. Ask for signs and they will be given.
What's interesting about drinking the blue fluid, so in some of the extra biblical texts, I'm trying to remember which one it is, but it's so here's the thing. Let me break this down in code for a second. So the original Bible text, doesn't matter the English translation you have, it goes back to a 900-ish AD set of Hebrew texts. That's the oldest actual physical document. A lot of those were verified, or some of those were verified for their accuracy by the Qumran cave scrolls that are found then down to around 100 AD. So it made them a bit older, but they were supposedly written in that timeline around 1200 BC or so from Moses. The original text, that if we had original, to me, this is where if we're going to just step out objectively and let religions argue amongst each other, the Quran has a lot more validity. It's a single text written by a single person, maintained in one script to the present from like 600 AD or whatever it was. Whereas the Bible literally is a conglomeration that comes together in a beautiful Bible code that can be broken down mathematically and like with computer algorithms. That's really amazing. But anyway, so the original text of the actual handwritten ones, if there were ones, were burned and destroyed when they went into captivity in Babylon or something. So one of the prophets at the time was told by the Lord to go out, and I think he fasted. I'm going to butcher the numbers off the top of my head. He fasted for a while with several other scribes, and he went into this like trance state. He was given a cup full of this liquid, shining. It was like water in light, or this liquid in light, however it described it. And he drank it. And then he said he spoke, and they translated what he spoke. He spoke for like 5 days and 5 nights straight or something. I'm kind of throwing that number out. I don't know if it's exactly that, but I would bet. He spoke. Yeah, he narrated. He like channeled that the original Hebrew text, and they wrote it all down. So it's just interesting that same imagery that you experienced organically in your own meditation is quite literally in the ancient text. They're written down experiences of interdimensional interactions.
Wow, that's wild. Because also when I drank that was for my throat chakra, communication, right?
Absolutely, yeah, right.
So that's pretty crazy.
Right, you did say that. Yeah, totally.
So, and this is the thing, right? Again, you need to talk to people about your experiences, because then they'll help you to connect the dots for yourself, you know? That's why this is so important. Thank you guys for creating this space. Because I feel like for me, when I was going through my spiritual awakening, like, well, I was seeing spirits. I was feeling spirits since I was 5 years old. And then I was just like, what the heck is this? And it's sort of like, it's scary, it's confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Just connect with like-minded people, you know, and talk about it. And that's how you're going to grow.
So imagine this too, because I've met enough people now. You guys are obviously ones of them. Like this, a real life interaction that is like, oh, okay, we've been doing this for a lot of lifetimes. Like, I love you. I can't wait to see you in real life. It's going to happen at some point. I just know. I see it. I see the interaction. It's happened. It's in the vortex. Cool. And then just expanding on this moment, right? But that having those moments where it's like, imagine if we actually were all friends and kids together. Like, tune into those potential timelines. Like, the world would already be different. Like, that's why they had to separate us from soul family, because we had to be able, and that just the dynamic we're in, do our own work, be able to come to our own awakening in our own timelines, to have this moment here now where we're able to even just joyfully and chat and interact and like be able to tell childhood stories, but have the validation we would have had from each other if we were friends. Like, how fucking cool is that, man? That's really cool.
I know. I can't wait to meet all you guys in person. I mean, we can always connect in the astral realm, you know? And like what you're saying is right. Like, even everybody who's tuning into this live right now, we've all known each other in a past life, 100%. Like, and that's why we're connecting now. You know, that's why it's so easy for you to resonate with all of us on this call, because we've traveled together and as soul families, as starseed families, to help each other remember our everything that we already are, everything we already know.
Beautiful.
Love it. I feel like I'm unlocking tonight on a level I didn't quite have since like an ultimate ayahuasca experience or a DMT type experience. It's almost like when you see it at that level, it's like waiting for you. And then you join in on it, and it's everyone, and it's you. It's not out there, it's all in here. And you start to ride that pulse, and you begin to witness these events, miracles, from the smallest thing to the largest thing. Someone that would say the glass is half empty, the glass is half full. I'll bring Paula right back out here. I'll quote her right now. She's going to go, just be happy you have water. I have water right now. Give me, yum, 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 and now I'm not thirsty. And you're like, wow, that just took it right out of that equation completely. And it's like, yep, I'm not here for your equation. I'm here to change the world. Join me or don't. And that's wonderful. A lot of love.
All right, guys. Super random chat question right now, since we're all here and it's fun to do with chat, and everybody in chat should answer too. When you interlock your fingers just totally naturally, right? Just interlock your fingers totally naturally. Which thumb is on top? Mine is the right thumb, personally.
Mine too. Right thumb.
Left thumb.
Yeah, mine is the left.
Okay, hold
Frank,
on.
Are you left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay, hold on. Wait. But this is interesting because I know Frank. We've had these conversations. So we were. I'll tie this into the left hand, right thing too, and the thumb thing. That's interesting. Great way to throw that in. So, when I was out there the second time, we were out there just in the grass, kind of meditating, chatting, grounding, just chatting. And we got into that dynamic of fire and asked, and we're talking about, okay, we've believed for a long time. I think we've broken our belief systems in the right way that, like Frank and I talk about all the time. We're doing this now on phone calls where we're feeling as if he's in the van with me as I'm driving. He's on the other side of the country. I'm Seattle. He's in the Bronx. And as he's doing that, I feel he's physically present with me. And it's like, it's coming to a point where the words on the phone matter less and less. Like he's actually with me there in real time, or vice versa. And so we're out in the grass talking about creating fire from your hand. Light the joint or the cigarette with actual fire from your hand. We should be able to do that. I mean, we have enough like modern day mythology and all the superhero movies, and you see how the normal people get activated in some way, shape, or form. Man, that's fucking you, bro. So we should be able to do that, right? And beyond just thinking it's a cool idea, let's do this shit. Wave, phase conjugation, all this kind of shit, like whatever we need to do to make it happen. So I was asking for, he's like, yeah, I've been practicing it. And so what are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you imagining when you've been practicing it? So he started to break it down, and he saw the energy coming like from his mind, focusing on, oh, there goes my lighting, focusing on his hand, and but that trying to cycle that energy in a way that it would finally combust or something in his hand. So we, just thinking about it, began to refine that thought process and think, okay, instead of wasting energy in a sense, moving it, just entangle yourself with the molecules, whatever, an inch above your hand, a molecule, and combust it. Like that's it, like simplify it, entangle on that, focus on that one singular thing, right?
Yeah,
and,
keep it simple, stupid. The whole like language arts thing. Totally
Shrink it
good.
down to the tiniest object, and then just think of that pixelation piece and say, listen, this is what I need you to do.
Now here's what.
So now you're talking about that tiniest object. Joe here says that he doesn't have any thumbs. Do you think he would be able to pick up the tiniest object with no thumbs?
I don't know, man. It's all in your mind.
Levitate it. Use your like
Yeah, there you go.
telekinesis.
Yeah, there you go. Claudia's always got the good answers. She's like, use your telekinesis, and we're just all like, oh, I don't know.
Okay,
But like talking about fire, you know,
do it.
Fire, that's alchemy, right? And
Yeah.
so what we just did with the whole gold light, that was alchemy too. So if you are interested in creating fire, you can definitely do that. I mean, just wave your hand over this pyramid right now. Like use your left hand and try to feel this, because this is infused with fire. So, you know, try to see what you feel.
Yeah, my hand's really warm.
And the left side of the body is to receive, and that's why we use the left hand. Unless you're a righty. If you're a righty, then use your right.
Okay, now check this out, because you just brought it back up to the thing I was getting to too. So the left hand, right hand thing. So when I was asking Frank, because he was doing it with his left hand, and I said, because of the exact dynamic you just brought up. So my understanding, the average DNA skin suit, if you will, gives with the right and receives with the left. So I would shake hands with the right and receive our diploma in high school or graduation with the left hand. It's in our culture. It's just the way, you know, the
you give your word with the right hand. Yeah.
Okay, so but Frank said no. He goes, I've tried that. I've tried making the energy go the other way, but it's like making all the gears inside of me go the wrong direction. He goes, energy just flows out of my left hand, and that's the nuances.
It's the old Maxwell's right hand rule. It's just the way like energy goes when it's in a magnetic field. There's no reason to work against it. It's like the fundamental level of don't reinvent the wheel. Like don't go against the right hand rule.
Well, like, and think about that. So we've found, like Claudia was saying, like, and I found that too, that right does seem to give energy and receive. That works for me, even just with my left hand there and that whole dynamic. And I do feel I've gone to meditations to be ambidextrous, right? Do both. But if your natural inclination is against what you're taught it should be, who cares, man? Go with your intuition. Is that works for Frank's left hand? He didn't ask anybody. He just he knew that's how it works for him, you know?
Yeah, again, back to the follow your heart. Really, you know, for all you know, you're like completely twisted out and backwards, and your left is actually a right, but you've always perceived it as a right. So you think it's the other way around.
No,
like you don't actually know.
You're in the upside down, right? So right's left, left's right. Like it doesn't matter. You're bizarre. You're in the bizarro world, so it doesn't matter.
A thing that I've had so much fun just contemplating over time as we talk, like Aaron was talking last night about a book of the Essenes, and where that was first brought to me was the idea of Essene mirrors and like our reflections in other people. And I like started going farther with that, like if that's always happening, like what if we actually live inside of a mirror? So what does everything look like backwards from what it is? And like this leads to so much interest. I mean, it's a whole nother side of reality because you're just looking at reality backwards. But it's very interesting, the contemplation.
Dude, it's funny how I'm tying in these texts too. This is just my avatar's upbringing, right? And I don't say that to dissociate. I say it just like to differentiate the nuance of operating places of like deep knowingness that we're just kind of being able to just chill and operate in, right? But also that
everybody has a symbol base, right? Like just kind of the thing that their upbringing, what they've learned about, what they've seen and everything. Yeah, I call it a symbol set, but
I love that you call it that.
So we have to kind of
so,
speak from that.
I know, so it's beautiful. So it's like, because some people, the Bible and all that stuff can be triggers, and like, and there's a lot of shit in the church. Religion binds people. Doesn't matter what religion you're in if you live religiously. So if like Frank, to enjoy his joint, he had to spend 10 minutes every day doing it this way because of a ritual, and he had to make sure that he prayed this prayer over it and said this mantra. He could get to a point where he hates doing that. It's annoying. Like he wants to enjoy what he's doing. So finding similar ways that repeat every day become a ritual for a while. I know then I find new things that make an old thing more joyful. So always making something novel helps, I think, continue to activate our epigenetic expression. So making novelty of ancient scriptures. The Gospel of, or not the Gospel, the Apostle of Peter, or it's one of the ones that the Catholic Church still honors as a legitimate text. It's not in the Bible, but it's supposed to be written by Peter. And he's about to be crucified on the cross, and he gives these long narrations and orations. And one of the things he says basically is, observe what's happening to me. He said, bury me upside down. He said, put me on the cross upside down. because everything in reality is what is up is actually down, what is left is actually right, what is in was actually out. And if you don't understand that, you won't understand anything. Like he says this in the text, this random thing, and even has himself buried up or crucified upside down to try to get the point across to people of the upside down reality that we live in.
That's some way to drive the point home, huh?
No doubt. Yeah, no shit.
That's a rough one.
3 points. Bam, bam, bam.
You know, it's really intense what's going on for a lot of people. And to understand this requires that you take the time and effort and put the work and energy into yourself. And then you realize that it's you. Right?
Yeah.
Like it was the funniest thing. I was looking through my hand even during the meditation, and I started to see through it again. And they said to me, and I always ask, hey, I could see through my hand, but it looks like a holographic kind of, it has like the soccer ball pixelation. It begins to, you can see the honeycombs in it, and then you can see through it. And I'm like, hey, can you change the matrix? Can you change yourself because of this? And they're like, well, it's just you holding you in place. I was like, oh,
oh shit.
Bring it forward. And they're like, yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah, that's kind of the implication of being like an infinite creator, right? Is that like whatever it is that you were experiencing up to this point, whatever rules there were, it's like there is a point where you have that realization that's, oh, I made up all of these rules. And that's what it's shaped like.
And interesting, the rules disconnect us from the feeling. So if you feel something feels right or good, all these rules of like, oh my gosh, this Arcturian thing, maybe it's channeling demons, or like if you don't have an understanding in your logical mind or have a willingness to let go of logic for a minute, like Alan Watts says it beautiful in a meditation, or one of the ones they cut up and put online to music. And it's connecting back to your childlike nature. But he says in this place, and it's kind of just through his narration, he kind of goes, and with the music puts you in a more meditative spot if you engage it that way. He's going to leave all our belief systems, everything. We're going to check it at the door. And you can, what you think blue is blue, red is red. Just check it at the door. If you feel unsafe without it, you can pick it up again. It's fine. But let's just check it at the door for now. And he says, and be like a child again. When children understand the world is weird, right? They go out and spin in circles until they get nauseous or fall over. They do weird things. They go with their mouth, right? Trying to make sounds because it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. We had no memories. We're like learning our bodies and sound. And then we're told, well, this means this and that means this. And you got to earn money to make a living. And like, it just crushes our soul on some level because but we're reigniting and rehealing. I think all of that just in these conversations.
I remember as a child, I used to put my feet, I used to grab it. I was really chubby, but I was able to take my foot and put it on my face, and I would just laugh. I'd go, and I thought that was the funniest concept, that I had this thing that was attached to me that I could touch my face with, and you're not supposed to do that either. And I was going, ah.
You're a baby yogi.
Yeah. Oh, little baby Buddha.
You're a little doing like happy baby.
Yeah, big happy baby. And but that's what we got to get back to, the happiness and the joy. See, I wanted to bring this up because I hear this on other shows and everything. People worry about the bliss aspect, right? It can't be that joyful because then the AI or this thing or that thing is eating off of the joy and the bliss that you're in. And I'm kind of like, well, don't you know the difference?
Right.
Right? Like if something's blissing you or you're moving through your reality bliss because you're enjoying yourself for real.
Yeah.
Let's be adults about this and just split that thought for a second, because that's what they do on the other shows. They go, well, they believe in ascension. They do this. It's like, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater and then discussing the same topics. So,
well, I've never really heard your take on this, Frank. Like, some people I think don't know that difference inside of themselves. They like don't really know how to find it. Like, what are some tools that you teach people for like tapping into their intuition or just like really knowing what their heart's saying more?
You have to listen to you. And if you can't hear, you need to take the time. All right. So I get a lot of people that go, I can't meditate. I try to do 2 minutes and I can't. And I'm like, then you need to do an hour. An hour,
right. Yeah.
You're bored out of your mind, and then you come back the next day and you do it again. Because if this was football season, right, the first day of training, you'd be running laps and you're like, this sucks. And it's like, dude, you're going to come back tomorrow and guess what you're doing? Running laps. You're like, well, when do we play football? When I know you can hold the football, period, and you could run with it. Right now, you can't even run a lap. Run the lap. Do the work. And then all of a sudden, you get this unshakable, unbreakable foundation when you just start from scratch. Just bring you back to baseline.
Yeah.
People are like, well, I fall, I lose, I'm not successful, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, you are success, you are abundance. You're always that. What you're doing is finding the ways not to do it in a space that you're not used to, and we're getting used to it, right? And it's weird, and things take time. Everybody's worried about time and dates and this and that. I'm like, everything's variations and moving in a cosine up and down and this and that. And then I'm thinking of one way and you're thinking another way, and I'm controlling my reality and you're absolutely not controlling your reality, and that those thoughts are swaying back and forth. I'm like, you need to just calm down, because during this virus time when they locked us in my house, the news was on in my grandparents' house nonstop. If I heard, I don't even like to mention this. If I hear about it one more time, I'm going to snap. But everyone's okay. Do you have everything you need? Yes. Is there any? I know people are dying, so I'm being nice. But did you dead or anyone dying? No. Did you wake up today and feel good? Were you able to roll a joint and smoke it? Like what? Where are we? And then it took weeks, and then calm just erupted, and I'm like, look at that, calm when you're not listening to that nonsense, and you remove yourself and you go inside. Because right, she's like, I'm meditating, but it's like I need to meditate more because, well, the news is on 16 hours a day, and you have to rebuttal it because you're in there the other room regurgitating it. But that's the skin suit technology. They're further ahead, they're older, so it's harder for them. So we can't be mean and angry and be like, oh, you're a nub, you don't understand what's going on. No. They paved the way. My mother paved the way for me to be there, to be in my position and place. So I'm like, okay, back it up. Let's talk about this. Let me show you some stuff, and then walk away. Let me do something nice with her. Engage the conversation. One thing. Do something nice again. Show it. Walk away from the fear-based items one at a time. The newspaper's there. Cover it. So you don't see this splatter on the front page. Fear in New York City. It's taken over. Really?
That was a great news reporter voice.
Nobody will say nothing, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
Frank actually used to be a news reporter in a past life.
I think
That's what the Arcturians taught him tonight.
I think you need to have your own news channel. You need to report all the cosmic updates.
Right?
Frank, this is where you're supposed to plug your YouTube channel.
Fearless in the Bronx. Here's what's going on in the galaxy, bro. It's all coming here. We're not going there. It's coming here. Fearless in the Bronx.
I feel like I'm in the best situation, and I'll explain. Well, I'm in the melting pot right here in New York, right? I'm in the Bronx. There's every kind of person, every kind of being, every kind of thing you've ever seen, everything you'd never want to see again, and all that other stuff is mixed in right with you. And you're living, and there's no problem. There's been no problems.
Yeah.
A couple of people broke into some cars, right? Did anybody reporting that there's been like no deaths in Miami for like anything over a week's great, right? That's a start, right? Because it's all the time, every day, all the time, every day.
Yeah, usually.
Those numbers are down. Are you sciencing yourself? Put it to the test. You've been lazy for so long, or look inside. We all have. We've all been sick. And say, okay, I've been doing it like this for how long? Now I have the time and the energy to try something new, because apparently nothing's working. Because here I am facing this wall again. The loop begins again, and then it just keeps showing itself. You're in the university. You're being tested. The tests are flying in at you. Can you handle this? Because what happens is whatever said situation is that you handle, whether it's releasing this or transmuting that, is just lining you up to step into the next frequency. Right? You can't hit your note, your music note, if you don't clear your throat. You got to clear your throat. You got to do the warm up, or you're not going to hit the high note for today.
Can't hit your note if you don't clear your throat. Frank Castle, 2020 right there.
Bringing it to
Claudia. You have to drink the alien juice. to clear the throat, by the way. All right.
That's how you
Blue
actually do it.
Arcturian
You drink the alien juice, clear the throat, and then you can hit your note. Perfect. And then, as Frank said last time he was on here, then you just take the truth and you undress it, and then you dress it back up, and you say, "Look, that's what it looks like, all dressed up again."
Dude, I posted that on my Facebook. I quoted Frank. I did this thing. It was that whole thing you just said, Frank Castle, and then just quoted him, tagged him in the show. That was awesome, man. We're gonna have to chop those up and just make silly ass quotes, like ridiculous quotes.
I love
We just
that.
cycle them
Bumper
amongst each other.
stickers. Bumper stickers everywhere.
I'm telling
So,
you, we're gonna make
Jasmine-
consciousness cool again.
So Jasmine
man.
is saying that she takes care of her husband's grandmother, and she literally watches CNN all day. So I know a lot of us are in that situation. So you just have to be compassionate, right? And just be like, hey, do you want to watch, I feel like for me, I am just trying to watch stand-up comedy. I don't watch the news at all. So just, suggest, hey, do you want to watch this movie? Do you want to watch, and I feel like comedy and anything that makes her laugh will help her transmute that energy very, very fast. And so, it's just like about being patient and compassion, especially like with our loved ones, because they're the most like triggering ones as well, and there's a reason for that. But definitely like would definitely recommend that, because when you watch the news, like you're literally just absorbing a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety, and it's like, is that serving them? Is it serving your home? It's not, right? So just try to sort of do it in a very gentle, loving, compassionate way, and just try to find different ways for you to bring in more joy instead of, that fear and that anxiety that's coming through the box all the time.
Okay.
But I just have to, I was literally just teaching a class for 4.5 hours. So I am going to go chill out. My body is like, you need to rest. So I'm going to listen to
Definitely. We appreciate having you here, Claudia. I really appreciate
Very
the time.
much.
That meditation was amazing. That was super great.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for having me. This was so fun. And thank you to everyone in the chat for everyone showing up. Because, what we did was we literally connected with each other. And that is like how we started off with this video. That is the most powerful way that we will make a change in our lives and in our world. So because Frank was talking about fire, I am teaching an alchemy class next Saturday. If you're interested in creating fire, so it's like alchemy basics. So we're going to start off with light. So if you're interested in alchemy, it's an ancient Egyptian. Actually, it's older than Egypt. It's dates back to Atlantis. If you want to learn that healing modality, I'll be teaching that next Saturday at 5:30 p.m. PST. If you're interested in that, you can check that out. And I will be posting a recording of our meditation very soon. I'll try to do it by Tuesday. So you guys can keep an eye out for that. And it was so much fun connecting with all of you guys again.
Yeah, you too, Claudia.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have a beautiful night, everyone.
You can always reach Claudia at GoldenAgeAlchemy.com. This is a picture from the great John Dee from his hieroglyphic monad. At the bottom, we see the Ignis, and she will be teaching you all about that next week. So thank you very much, Claudia. I will definitely be bothering you in DMs again, but we hope to be able to have you back to lead more meditations and join in, connecting to more star places and doing cool things with consciousness. You're so wonderful.
Yes, definitely. Love you guys. Have a beautiful night.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Awesome.
All right. So that was very good. And conversely, for the person that was saying about the person watching CNN, Claudia's idea is probably better than mine, but if conversely, you could just balance the energies in the house by tuning into Expanded Understanding, Golden Age Alchemy, and Fearless TV all of the time. And then you would balance the bad energy of CNN in the house with the good energy of the stuff that we're bringing forward.
So check this out.
So that works too.
No, totally. It's all techniques and balancing it. So balancing energy is the point. Everyone does it differently. So what Claudia said would have resonated with some people, like heavy, awesome. They got a ton of ideas from that on their own. Great. What you said did the same thing for other people, because it's all about finding those ways to balance the energy inside of us in whatever environment we're in. And there is a level of free will choice. If it's someone else's home, they have resonance with that land, and there's legal ties, and even energetically. So you can't just impose you really could, but it doesn't usually help out for relational dynamics to impose in someone else's environment. So finding a way with an environment that if you're forced into that's normal daily habits isn't in harmony or balance with your normal daily habits. So finding things like playing music or the frequency did for the meditation on a low volume on speakers in a room that you're in or on your phone or just whatever, literally it changes the actual compression wave phase conjugation in the actual environment that you're in. So it can help balance it that way without, you know, imposing on someone else. Totally.
To use your imagination to how this works, if you were to step into a machine, which is like an egg shape, where you step in and it vibrates, a few things around it vibrates you and it changes the frequency. If you were blasting heavy metal in the room and you wanted complete silence, you could step into that egg and create that. And you could use your imagination within the moment you're in, the compression around you, and you can step into your own personal egg and have the device activated, and they could blast Metallica a foot from your head and you'll be able to tune it out. It's not going to be pleasant, but you know what? If the situation requires certain things, sometimes you don't even like being in the room with someone, you can put yourself in that as protection. And you do that by the imagination and by the feeling. I can, I will, now. And it's done. But you gotta
you very much so got to believe in yourself with all of this stuff. Otherwise, it's just not going to work out for you.
Otherwise, it's just religion or ritual that isn't connected to your own intuitive knowingness or connected to feelings or things that you're experiencing. It's just something you're doing, but you're not connecting yourself to it. Then you're always dependent on your ritual or on your thing you're doing. But if you're connected to yourself, like the thing that keeps life from getting boring, one of the things, sometimes it's hard, is being able to create new realities every time I step in, out-create the situation. So I've got my stepdad also listens to CNN he's conservative and he feels he is progressive conservative in a sense, or he's a more true conservative because he watches, I think they call it America First Network now. They I think because Fox News and everything got such bad, just all the stuff that happened through Trump and just the ridiculousness of the hypocrisy of the media and all that, they rebranded. And so that's on 24/7, right? And so part of it is just feeling like it's different every time. So there's times if I'm there hanging out, I'll literally if there's no conversation happening, I'll put in earbuds and do my own thing, or I'll put in one earbud and just put most of my awareness to that, tune out the TV, and then I'm open if there is conversation. I'm open to engage in conversation. So I'm finding ways to be present because I do value the time with family, even though there's not much conscious interaction, it seems. I want to be available in those moments. And then also
what is conscious interaction? When you say that, that sounds a little like racist almost in a sense, you know? Like you have a certain tier of interaction that suddenly becomes conscious. Because for me, a rock is conscious. It's just maybe not human conscious.
Or more than the weather that you just watched and whatever they're bullet noting on whatever news channel.
But they can though, right? Like if you really hit them with something that's really visceral to them, you know, you start punching them with questions about the time their kid died. Like they can talk about a lot more than that. They might be dulled down all the time. I'm not disagreeing with that. Okay. But where do we set this line really? What's a conscious conversation when technically everything is consciousness?
So it's infinitely subjective to every person, right? Because it's not about good or bad or what you should or shouldn't do. It's for me and my own value systems, I value connection with them at whatever level they're able to connect. So that's more what I mean by consciousness. Yeah, everything's conscious. So if you want to talk about the weather, genuinely, for whatever reason, all right, we'll talk about the weather. I want to be present at whatever level he's willing to be present with me, to have just a connection with the person in front of me. And so it's great when they can be more conscious, but more connected. And so finding ways, how can I draw out the beauty out of my stepdad, the things that make him happy, or how can I draw out a new story out of him, or how can I just ways to bring his own heart to the surface. So that to me are games or Benoit balls I'm playing all the time with the people in my life or in live interaction. How can I enliven their heart so we can connect on deeper levels?
Yeah, really in a way you want them to be more emotional, right?
Or in no, my stepdad can be very emotional, right? He, the Democrats this and the liberals this, and very emotional.
Is that really emotional though? Because that's really a cerebral thing too, having this bipartisan judgment. The whole system is very cerebral.
Yeah. So maybe it's because it's not emotional. It's connected to all this logic and assertion of ego and identity and logic. It's like, okay, that's great. Can we connect? Can we have an emotional connection now?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I totally resonate with that too. You know, like I think when we say the conscious conversation, when we're saying consciousness, we're kind of saying soul, and it's like the same thing. Like back in the day when, like, you know, whatever certain types of music or whatever, you know, like there's used to be kind of a, I guess you call it an old time meme about it, where, you know, like a black person that makes a certain kind of music would say like a white guy couldn't because he ain't got no soul, man. You know what I mean? But it's really just because like he ain't putting his heart into it. And when we say we want the conversation to be conscious, we're really meaning more like we want that soul injected to it, more than just like some cerebral bullshit or some or some, you know, some trauma that we're dealing with. We want to see their soul expressed.
Or getting tired of seeing programs play out. I already know everything he's going to say. The frequency he's going to say it, even probably the exact words. It's just tired of seeing programs.
A program's not your damn soul, though, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's tired of seeing programs play. Where I want to see them have a new thought. I want to see them express themselves in a way that isn't a program. It's some kind of genuine, in the moment, just random created expression. That's all I'm going for. I don't feel like it's that too hard to ask, but it's a game to figure that out, how to do that with people. You know?
Yo, I connected with my grandfather. I've been trying to explain to him, like, yo, stop watching this. They're lying to you. So he's like, you say this every day. They're lying. How do you know they're lying? He finally just said to me. So I go, how am I going to prove to him without a bunch of bullshit attached to it? Right. So they said that Trump said to inject chemicals or something. And it was all over the newspapers. And he was like, what is this? Is that what he said last night? So I was like, oh, wait a second. I saw a clip of that. He didn't say that. So I put that on. And then he was like, oh, he goes, son of a bitch. Right. So then I just left him alone. Right. But he was like, he sat with, you know, when they just look off at the distance.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you're right. He's, yeah, I'm fine. I'm like, what if the dollar was worth $1, Grandpa? And he goes, what? Impossible. I go, what happens if that happens? He goes, well, it's impossible. I go, all right. So it's impossible. Fantasy time. What happens? He goes, oh, we'll be fucking rich. Right now, he's an old dude. He's 90. I just interacted with him on a level, and then he starts breaking into, well, it's all been bullshit the whole time. This whole thing is bullshit. And that's the 90-year-old's way of telling you this whole thing's a holographic matrix. Right? You need to break free. Yeah. Don't get stuck watching TV like I did. My programmed overlay in my suit only went so far. I paved the path for your mother. You did it, do the right thing.
Yeah.
That's what he says when he says it's all bullshit. Like, you got to. So now, every time I see him, he goes, "Oh, what they do today?" Like, he'll watch the news.
Beautiful.
And so like, cool. He thinks they're lying now, which they are.
So this is cool. This opens up a flow of like dialogue about seeing our loved ones open up, right? And it's funny. I do like that you pointed out. I don't like saying becoming more conscious. It almost feels, the resonance of it feels like this new age racist term, right? Oh, you're not conscious, like whatever. So I want opening them up to their own emotions or their own new thought processes, like wanting to see them flower. That's the point. That's the heart of it. You got
to engage them on a level that they're all right. So if they come into frequency, if they're in frequency 1 and you're in frequency 12. You have to, and they can't get higher than 1.5. You have to meet them there right up front and know how to navigate that.
It's all about relevance, right? Like, whether you're telling a story or you're trying to get a point across to somebody, it's really about bringing it in a way that's a relevant fashion.
Yeah.
I feel like
Aya said that each one of us in our place, that's like the shamans that are helping others or the people helping others, she's like, they're coming online and they're activating people within people within people. I can't kind of remember my point, but I remember saying to her, I'm kind of a dummy. Like, I'm meathead. Why me?
Sure, I'm cut out for this.
She's like, you live in the Bronx. Everyone, you speak Bronx. You're not a dummy, right? I go, no, I have A's in school, so I'm apparently not a dummy. But when I talk, I felt like when I was there in the ayahuasca round. And I'm like, you see, it's like meatheadish. And she's like, no, you have overlays in the programs. Just relax. You speak Bronx. Who else is going to tell them than the guy that's been hanging on the corner with them?
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but I don't hang on the corner no more. She's like, no, but when they start showing up and they don't understand anything, you have to meet them on that level. So I can't have the guy from Ohio come here. Like Aaron can't talk to that guy, right? Frank needs to go to like take a walk with him, smoke a blunt with him, and then kind of be the way Bronx guys are. You know, with your hands and what the fuck, and you got to take that approach. And then
you can't have me roll up to him and be like, "Hey, bro, I'm stoked to hang out with you, man. I'm very psyched on all of this." And they're like, "Wait, who are you talking to?"
Meet them on that level to a degree, because if you start going and then this, that, the other thing, they think you're just overeducated and talking at them, and then they want to fight right away, right? So she's showing me this, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, I know all this." They're like, "Right, you're perfect. You're literally perfect for your job."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Oh, snap." And I'm sitting here just thinking I'm a dummy trying to find my purpose. And meanwhile, I'm sitting in my purpose, just not activating, doing it. But I am kind of. But now that I'm aware of this, I'm like, oh, I speak this language.
Yeah. Cultural appropriation
to the beings around me.
And like what this comment's saying right here, that authenticity is something that the human experience is still remembering. I feel like that moment that you're expressing right there is that remembering that like the authentic version of myself is the exact tool I needed for the job that I'm supposed to be here doing. So I can just be me, and then I'm doing my perfect job.
Yes.
So 100%. Humanity might still be remembering that, but clearly Frank, he already remembered that.
Listen. You guys, you got the tools and we got the talent, right? We're back online, but we've been here the whole time. And don't bang your head that but if I only, or if I turned on at this time, none of that shit matters. You're exactly where you need to be right now. If you're listening to this, you know exactly what's up.
It's always
I feel like I tormented myself with that for so long. Like this feeling I was supposed to be somewhere else besides where I was. It was so much torment.
You're literally standing right where you need to be. You feel lost. The separation is what it's a fake separation. You can never truly be separate.
Right.
So you got to go through the steps. You just can't remove that and then go, that you can't. You got to go baby steps along the way. For each new person, you got to go, 7 chakras, take a deep breath, release the negative. Okay. Find out where the trauma is and work your way back. And then next, and do it again. And you can't be like, again with this level. It's like, no. Everyone's in a different level. You have to engage them in that level. You'll have masters come to you, and then they'll be looking for help, and then they wind up helping you.
Sure.
And
that's one thing I've learned so much through my practice. Like, there's not a single client that I've ever worked with where I didn't learn something new that was super beneficial about myself.
No interaction is like a coincidence and stuff. That it doesn't work like that. It just does not. The higher selves are working. They're all just looking like, come on, let's go. And then they're focusing the intent to try to see if you pick up on what you need to in each situation with a certain awareness, hoping that you expand that awareness. And then situations and combinations will repeat. You'll find that in life through dating the same girl or dating the same guy. It's a different guy each time. It's the same bullshit.
Sure. The quote unquote karmic cycle.
You're dipping in the pool. You're not listening to yourself. Right? You're always dating that kind of character. It's an archetype, right? You have to
just buying into the epidemiology of what you've been doing before, basically.
And then you're like, well, there's no one in the world for me then. And you turn around, there's been a guy over here. He's been nice to you since you're 12 years old. There's 2 guys over here that have been talking to you the whole time. And you're just ignoring life and the things around you. And you're just going, with the senses. This is what I was saying earlier. I go, let's make this simple. Everything. There's the 7 deadly sins, right? Think about them. I'm not going to name them or nothing. I don't even want to bring them up. But everything opposite of them, you will succeed on every layer and every level. I was thinking about that today.
Let me get a right on point right there. Do you think that the 7 virtues are actually the inverses of the 7 sins, or are those 2 different systems?
Oh, I don't even know. I know this by my spidey sense in my heart, right? Like, oh no, we all know basically you're not supposed to do that. Why are you doing that? Right? You just feel it. It feels gross. You feel the frequency. So there's all those layers inside of each one of those things. I don't even know what the 7 good principles are or whatever you just said. I don't like I'm doing
it's tough for you to say that.
This is where the
Aaron,
hold on, Frank.
comes from.
Frank, Aaron, you know them for sure, right?
Okay, hold on. Before we do it, we can connect to that. I want to hear you break it down because it's not as fresh in my memory. But Frank, you do know it metaphorically. And what is it? It's what's that movie that came out? The superhero kid.
Shazam. I just watched it. That's why it's all resonating with me.
Talk
because it
about that.
me. Well,
talk about that.
Each one of them represented one of the chakra points with their colors. The magic, when they all come together, they have the magic to defeat all kinds of evil. What is the evil they're fighting in the movie directly? Like, who's the bad guy? And it's like, oh, these giant monsters, right? These 7 monsters are running around. They're demons. Where are they from? Well, we had them locked inside of stone, inside of the rock of the magic place or whatever. And the magic was dying off, because the one guy was the only guy left holding the light. So he passed the light to the kid passes the light to his family, and they have to overcome the 7 deadly sins. It's literally them. Gluttony and whatever. I don't remember all of them, but they beat them by tricking them at their own game. Right? Which I'm sure is the other set of principles. It's just the reverse set. That's why I said anything opposite of these things will put you in a position of awesomeness all the time. You're not really neglecting yourself. People are like, well, I can't masturbate. I can't do this. Okay, yes, you can. Own it. Look, you're the creator. You do whatever you want. No one's judging you but you. However, know this. If you're just going to go, and I'm going to be, can I be straight? If you're just going to be painting the walls with it, then your vibration's going to drop because you have to rebuild it up. Right. Yep. So if, let's say, every 3rd time you just paint the wall with it, you're good to go. And you can have fun. You'd be like, I'm doing this. Just like, I'm going to eat that ice cream. I don't give a shit. I'm going to feel good because I love it. I'm just going to eat it. I don't eat it all the time, but I'm going to eat it right now. And I'm going to fucking love every moment of it. Because that's what's up. And you're not going to be harmed by the stuff that's in it, unless it's like been tainted hardcore with something. Right. But you can overcome certain things just by owning it, because there is no judgment other than you. You're the only one. You go on the other side and you're like, oh, I was a bad person. I did this and that. They're like, no, did it make you feel good? Because no, we don't really care. There's no one judging you. That's just you doing that. We just want to know how it made you feel. And you're like, what do you mean? They're like, that's all that matters, is how did it make you feel? We're curious. We watched you go through it. We want to understand why you went. That's all we want to know. And you're like, wait, what? So all the pressure comes off. And now you can just kind of move throughout your environment. All right, well, what put those pressures there to begin with? Well, you know what? I needed to have the new iPhone all the time. I needed the best computer. I needed Yeezy. Yeah. Right? I couldn't have the 50-inch TV. I had to have the 250-inch TV. I mean, right? Like, just it's always that. And you're like, are you kidding me? It's like, well, I love you. I told you I love you. I bought you fucking flowers. What the fuck is your problem? Like, what? That's the problem right there.
No doubt.
Right? You're like, holy shit. What's wrong with you, man? So that's where we're at, right? You want to be treated like a king or a queen, but you acting like a punk bitch. That's what this comes down to, right? 100%. So but if you change that and you respect yourself more, you don't judge others, you kind of walk a certain path, you don't get greedy with it. Like, I got to have the most money, right? So I'm going to put Aaron out of business because he's doing fucking good. Fuck him.
We're gonna build the biggest building in town by burning all the other ones down and having like a 1-story shack.
What are you doing? It's like, what are you gonna just? I might as well just punch myself in the face, right? I'll drink poison. Yeah. I'll be so angry at you, and then I actually won't confront you on it and just talk to you because it might be different than what I'm thinking and the story I'm making in my head. So I'm drinking fucking poison, hoping you die.
Yep,
it makes no sense.
Exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
In a certain way, that's like the whole idea of like the battle mindset, though, right? Is that like it's
the reptilian.
We kill off each other to somehow then we win, right? In the long run, because we killed all of you before you killed all of us, but we still take a ton of scars by doing that.
It's the system, man. We're playing this fucking game we didn't realize we were playing. Right? That's why, as the creator, you don't play the game. I tell them all the time. They're like, well, they try to like throw a chessboard at you. Like, I'm going to be metaphoric, but literal. They try to get you to engage them on that chessboard. And I'll notice it like the Tron grid. It'll light up under me because I'm the creator, right? I am the Tron grid. It activated. I'm like, oh, that's my energy running through it. Take a look. And they start presenting me with bullshit. And I'm like, hey, listen, when the creator takes the field, it's not a game. It's not a fucking war. I'm the above and the below and everything in between.
Come on.
So
That's
what
right.
makes you think that you're going to win this? What makes you think you really think you trapped a bunch of creators in human bodies with a 4% awareness maximum and ate the babies and thought you were getting away with it? Did you really think that for 1 second that's what was going on? Did you think we were going to send Superman in there or another Jesus character? No, you realize we're just going to activate every king and queen, period.
Come on.
Hey guys, come on in. We're going to activate, but you're not going to know right now
until you know.
So
never know until you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Now you know.
Knowing this, they throw the board at you and you clear the board. You go, you can't exist. No board can exist against me. We take the field. They send every football player from every league at us and they kick the ball off to us. And we just walk across the field and it's infinite touchdowns and field goals. Infinite, immediately. And we just walk over them with love and they don't know what the hell is going on. And they're like, they're playing the game, but they're scoring points and everyone's cheering and they're smiling and we're running at them in full body armor. What the fuck is happening? And you just like, dude, what makes you think you came to a game that you can actually play against me?
Come on, man.
Like, don't be ridiculous. That's the joke of the day. You guys are like fourth graders and we're like graduated college, became the professors, came back, and we're trying to show you that you're being a fourth grader.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Yeah, on that note too, so just having that energy of that dynamic. So that the trip we took, we went to Serpent Mound, we went to Washington D.C. Dude, I haven't even talked about this with many people because it happened so fast. So we just went being led synchronistically from one thing to the next, and all sorts of things. But we also connected with one of the grandmothers and like one of the grandfathers of beings here that have been doing work. I think we stayed in the home for just about an hour. I don't know his name offhand, but his wife wrote the original books, I believe, about the vortexes in Sedona, Arizona, and how they resonated with the Pleiades. And we were in his home for an hour, just he was just sharing, right? We were just having conversation with him. He just knew we were in the area because we saw someone else, and he would have loved to just spend time with us. I mean, there's massive just soul code exchange, but in the actual physical interaction, you know, he's at the later stages of his life, and his home was like that of like a movie of like, I mean, books everywhere and authentic little statues and very kind of dimly lit, just old antique style lighting. And you can tell this is just his life, man. He's been doing it forever. He's got a paint studio set up and back, and he showed us one of his paintings. And it was a painting of the Pleiades, but he overlaid, because he had this vision when he's meditating or whatever, the vortexes in Sedona, or so the Sonoma County, or I don't know, whatever it is, but they line up exactly with the 7 stars in the Pleiades. And he also drew, anthropomorphized, there's like feminine image for each one of them, and then an animal as well for each one. And while he would continue talking to us about things, he showed it to us, pulled off the wall. We had it sitting in front of us on the table for probably 20 minutes, like just held up, staring at it, like listening to him. But man, the information just coming off of this guy's artwork from this home in West Virginia or wherever I think it's the Cheyenne Mountains. And he started going into all this history about the Cheyenne Mountains being the original birth waters of Earth, before Lemuria, before Atlantis, all that. Because it was funny he said that, because Angela and I on our way there, as we were driving through these Smoky Mountains, the whole resonance changed. And again, not like we went somewhere came here, or we came into a realm, a reality, a timeline, a time frame. And I immediately just said Lemuria, you know, and we were just, you know, tuning into that in our own ways or whatever. And then talking to him, he said, actually, you know, even before Lemuria, and this is not him not knowing our dynamic, but like even before Lemuria, in these mountains was the original birth waters of Mother Earth. So that's just one dynamic. We had all these conversations. Then we met another grandmother that's in the movement and has been around a long time. Had dinner with her, short interaction but beautiful. I was able to hug her and talk with her, and I gave her a bracelet of turquoise turtles. 13 turtles, the 13 grandmothers, and gave that to her. And like so many beautiful things happened, and we just went from one joyous place to the next. And we went to Washington D.C. and ended up doing. There's a lot of things we did. But in the physical, like one of the things, actually going up to the monument and dancing around the monument, I kissed the monument on all 4 sides, like full of joy, knowing that just me being here, doing those actions with the feeling in my body is literally bringing down all those reptilian, energetic, dynamic grids that have been here for so long. It's just adding to what everybody else has already been doing. It's just a 3D physical anchor point in time to add to what people have been doing in their bedrooms for years or decades, and maybe no one even knew about it. And now we can throw it up on a YouTube video. Awesome.
It's like what I'm seeing is like a singularity point as you're doing like a dance within you as the great magnetic attractor, because you're a creator. So as you're doing your dance, it just collapses timelines, energies into the vortex, into you, through you, and out again through the dance, right? Like, so you would be pulling the stale, I'll say stale, I was going to say something else, but the stale energy that's been doing the damage, and through your dance and in your interpretation and in being grounded, you're pulling it all in, and through your fingers, your face, your eyes, your hair, every part of you, the rainbow of colors comes out. Oh, look, it jumped on the screen as well. The multicolors just rain out of you like some Care Bear stare kind of situation.
Come on, man. Yeah.
But yes, because you're not killing the energy. You're not killing these things.
No.
What you're doing is transmuting you.
That's right.
You'll be alive. You'll just be over here like doing this. I told a reptilian when they were doing all that terrible things, I says, I'm going to make you a flower in my garden. Right? And he's like, what are you going to try to kill me and bury me in the garden? I'm like, no, I'm literally going to make you a flower in my garden. And I'm going to come out every day and tell you how much I love you. And he was disgusted by it. He didn't understand what I was saying. He was like, you're going to murder me and bury me. I'm like, I can't believe I have to have this fucking conversation. Right? That's trying to eat my soul and shit, right?
Yeah.
Fucking common sense. And I'm like, no, I'm going to transmute you and turn you into the flower, into a little bitty seed. And you're going to grow as the flower first. And then we'll see what happens after that. And he was like, impossible. I was like, yeah, whatever. See you on the other side, buddy.
It's like once you understand that you know more than them, like, oh, you don't understand that? It's like, it's not like, oh, I've got you and I can now do what I want with you.
So outclassed when I saw them. I was like, oh, we're done. Right. As a species, we're totally 100%. Like, they're going to beat the shit out of every single one of us, and they're going to turn 12. They're going to be 12 of them just walking naked through the streets, beating people with giant penises. I was freaking out. And then in the first hour of the conversation, I had disappeared in front of them and reappeared because they don't believe the higher dimensions exist. And if they do, they cannot access it. It's off limits to that. They're not running the chakras. They're in the skin suit that doesn't allow it. They don't even believe in it. They're loaded with the AI nano. So they're stuck in that 4D and down thing. Like we are the dominators of all this. And this is all, and they tell you this is all there is. And I'm like, no, I'm showing them the crack in the wall. Out there is freedom. We're in this box that looks like a cathedral, some kind of religious aspect thing. And nobody's looking at the giant eye projecting the image on the giant wall over there. There's a lot of fake nonsense going on in here. And they're like, no, we dominate this place like this. And I'm like, all right, no, but we're in a box. We're literally in the box. And they're like, well, think about it like this. We control the box and we control everything outside the box. I'm like, then let's go to 5D. They're like, whatever this, they don't even know what that is. Like they were kind of like, what is this cattle meat talking about to me? Right.
Yeah.
Like, we don't normally have these conversations with the meat. And
imagine a cow telling you the same thing and he disappears in front of you. Right. You might want to pay attention to what the cow has to say.
And when that happened, they were like, they did the whole where did he go? It was like they're very frightening on every level. But when you see they have no common sense, I'm like, oh, so you guys have laser guns and shit? And they're like, yeah, and we don't need ayahuasca to do what you're doing. And I'm like, great, but you just totally lacking the common sense level, right? Because for all your technology and everything, you're limited because you loaded yourself with all this inorganic stuff to try to expand yourself into a position, and that thing trapped you. And then they make you think you're the dominator to us, but it's actually dominating you and controlling you, and then it's working its way down. And I'm not even from here. I'm from 12 in the real up into the 15th, right? So you're rocking 4. And you're like, I'm the master here. And I'm like, okay, so you're the head of the 4th grade and I'm the creator. What is up? And they're like, damn it, he knows. I'm like, there we go. They're like, you're a pain in the ass on the other end of the cycle. But we kind of can't. We're watching you, right? We can't get involved, but physically, like to eat you, we don't do that. But we're letting you know we're watching you. I'm like, that's it. And I'm like, so you're not going to do nothing? And they're like, we're doing it right now. And I'm like having this stare down with them, and I'm like, you guys can't be serious, right? We could be friends. You know what we could accomplish this way? Like, you guys are awesome looking. I was complimenting them and everything, and they were like, get this thing away.
Okay, let me comment on that note. That is the heart response in my, I guess right now, just thinking about it, of a creator being. Don't you know there's so many beautiful things we could create here? Just kind of knock it off, come into harmonic resonance with the new age that we're in.
Friends and talk and be,
yeah, man.
Awesome trade secrets and just be.
And what's cool is what they do. They're like, oh, really? Yeah. And then you start to have like cool reptilian friends that aren't all bad and evil. Like they've transmuted their purpose.
These specific ones were like, nah, you're like,
right.
You're ridiculous. And I'm
Some
like,
of them are pretty stubborn.
But it was explained to me though, and it was shown because you have to experience it as well. They don't understand. They get it to a level and then can't comprehend the next level.
Dude, check this out. Okay, this is cool. This is sharing weird experiences, right? And having cool friends online I can talk to about them. All right, so when me and Angela were going on this trip, I think I got in the story the other night on one of the shows, but I didn't finish it because we always get on cool fucking rabbit trails.
Okay.
We were looking up and differentiating, and there's no cars for miles, pitch black, and like 2 a.m, stars are out, and so you can differentiate between a comet here and there. You can satellites go by, different brightnesses, consistent speed usually. And so the way I've seen UFOs a lot of times, it may seem like a satellite at first, but if you really put your intention and focus on it, pretty often I feel like they'll stop, change direction, disappear, right? So this one was moving across, and I was watching it for a while. It's like, oh, is that a satellite, or is that, I'm just tuning into it. And as we were tuning in, I drew Angela's attention to it. So as we were just staring at it and tuning into it, dead stop, and pretty decently bright little object, right? And I could feel on their end, because we're engaging with them on the higher levels, especially just because I put my intention and awareness on it now. And then I got my laser pointer out, and it was like, I see you, right? Circling around. I love you, right? And just trying to get engagement because they were frozen. What I could feel is like they didn't know what to do with that. They're not used to having our awareness on them in a way that, like, especially that way, right? I'm playing with them. I love you. I'm dead serious. I know it's real, right? But they're not used to that. And then entering into soul contracts, so just giving them opportunity, like just a lot of different things happen in those moments, but also presenting an opportunity for them to transmute any karma or any DNA or things to engage with me as a creator being, a king on the earth in this random moment in time, this now moment. Let's create some shit. Introduce yourselves. Let's chat, man.
I love the look on their face sometimes because it's all different kind of beings, but there's always some nefarious thing behind the veil of this matrix happening. I have an experience with Paula's brother where we sit outside and smoke DMT, and I step away for a second. He's sitting in the chair, he starts freaking out, and I come back, I walk outside, and I look, and this being like unzipped the background. It was an insectoid, and he was with another guy, and it opened, and he looked at her brother. So I walked over and I sat next to him. I put my arm around him, and it was kind of chilly out, and I was getting tobacco. So I was all excited. I'm like, oh, beings, we can see them together, right? So
yeah,
because people always like, what do you mean you see this stuff? I'm like, I'll show you. Just sit down, right?
Yeah, fuck
right?
yeah, man, right on. Your own personal Stephen Greer from the Bronx.
Dude, he was fucking losing his shit. He was like, yo, they're looking at us. They're looking at us. So they were like, oh, he can see us. I go, I can see you too. Can you see me? And he goes, yeah. And I go, not for long. And I don't know what made me do that. And I pulled the background in front of us, and then they couldn't see us. It was like I pulled like a giant blanket made of the background right in front of us, right in between us, and was like, ha. The dude came out of the circle and said, I know you're there. I can sense you. So I'm like, then go for it, bitch. Right. So he goes, he takes the device, and it was going, and he goes to poke us, and I moved out of the way. Ha.
Yeah.
And he couldn't see. He was like confused that he couldn't touch me with it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm looking at you. I'm 6 seconds ahead of you watching you. And then the way you were just doing to me. And her
Whoa,
brother
hold on. Let's pause this because that's an amazing thing you just said. I'm 6 seconds ahead of you. And the Heart Math Institute study they did with the measuring the heart's response to the actual visual input response when they put images on the screen, random number generated, random computer generated, whether it be stimulating something like sexual arousal or fear or stimulating response, or a serene lake or something that would cause a slight response. I think the average was like 6 to 11 seconds. Your heart knew ahead of time what type of image was about to be shown to you in a 3D reality.
Yeah.
So your heart knows. So it sounds like, to me,
So
that makes sense.
he
Your
would
heart
light
knew.
up, and like, say the thought was, I'm going to take this sword. It wasn't a sword. It was like a stun kind of looking stick. And he was going to poke this direction with it directly at my face. Like, I would know from when the thought lit in his head.
Yeah.
Right as it just enters his mind, I already know that it's going to come down his arm and come right at me. So I'm just standing there and I wait, because for me, it's a full 6 seconds. And then I just go, foof. I've already seen it occur.
Like the Flash.
But that's what they've been doing to us, but on a low level. Right?
Yeah.
They would say it's a high level. And I go, but not the highest. Right?
That's right.
Don't play the game with the all.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can bullshit yourself and dress that truth, right?
Dude, it is amazing when the progression in your meditations go to the form of some form of, for me, you just start to know that. You just know that about yourself. Deep gnosis, GNO, right? Like, not just knowledge in our head or our mind, but gnosis, deep inner knowing, intuitive knowing. That, like, I'm even just picturing, like, when I went to the cabin this weekend, because there's always stuff I do. I'm always setting up all sorts of, like, it's my own alchemy, it's my own technology that I'm making. So I got a whole bunch of rock salt, Himalayan rock salt candle votives, and use that in different places around the fire and around the whole property, which made just the whole ambiance awesome. But I remember just and I do like incenses and all. I love all that stuff. I do that stuff all the time, all over the place. But to me, those are just bonuses that bring joy to my heart. I love the fragrances. I love the tradition in them. But I know it's not about any of that. I can see when I would literally walk on the property, like golden light emanating from every footstep, doing all the clearing for me, doing all that shit for me. It's me.
That's the
imagination.
working in the
I'm clearing. Yeah, and I'm clearing the space just so
cool.
we can just be and have fun and actually be beings. So we don't have to spend so much time coming into harmony or coherence with our environment. Everywhere we put our foot, we create coherence.
Yes. So that's what all right. So I was on my property and this thing was talking to me from outside the property. And it was like, you come out here and you're mine. So it looked like a guy unzipped and this thing came out of him and was like, rah. Yeah. So I was like, oh, we're playing that game. We're unzipping. Okay. Zip. And the boom, giant creator being came out. And it was like, what? And I opened the gate and I said, everywhere I walk is my sacred space. And I said, now give me a hug. And it fucking ran like, no. And I'm like, that's right, bitch. No,
no way. No way.
Hold on, Frank. I love how you said that. So you're like, give me a hug. And he ran away, and your response isn't like sad because you wanted to hug him. You're like, that's right, bitch.
Right? Like,
and it's sincere, though. I totally get what you're saying. Everything is totally the same. There's always some that want to engage.
Like that, right? Like it's a weird cartoon because you know how cats are finicky, and I'll go, come over here and give me a hug. And I kind of walk up to them fast, and they run, but they don't run away. Yeah. They kind of look back at you like, yay, we're playing, but I don't know. I'm not going to let you get me. I do that with these things. Like, come on, it's me. Hug me. Yeah. You know who it is.
Yeah, come on, man.
That to them, just like it's a weird cartoon.
Dude, no, it's funny. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad we're holding space to have these conversations because it goes into layers of even my first DMT experience, which was with you, twitching out on the floor a little bit. You helped calm my body and my vessel, but part of that experience was when there was awareness of, even with my eyes closed, the whole room and every timeline, every movement you've ever made in that room, but also ones you're making now, but also ones like your astral body was making, your other versions of you. Like, I think, times you were physically going over doing something that wasn't necessarily directly focused on me. I was on the floor for 15, 20 minutes doing my thing. And, but there were other parts of you just waiting to catch my awareness. Once my awareness is aware of you, these tracers, but there are other timelines, versions of you that are all real, but they're just different variants of being magnetized into a 3D reality. There's parts of you trying to do that exact same. Like once you realize I'm tuning into you, you'd come in some really exciting kind of shape-shifty way to try to get me to go to this next level within this dynamic or whatever. But it also just to say, what's up? You see me on this level now? I love you. What's up, man?
What's
like,
up?
Yeah.
That's it right there. Yo, I said to you, right? Yo, this was the craziest thing. Your fucking foot is gigantic, right? I'm 5'8", maybe.
Size
right?
14 shoe, baby. Yeah.
Yo, so you were like kicking up and down. So I'm going. So what I saw was, it was like you exploded into a starburst. The room was the starburst, and it was being witnessed. So you threw yourself back, and you're kicking, and you're loving it. It's like the guy floating in that psychedelic moment, like right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had to jump in though, because you could hurt you were slamming your heel.
My avatar. Yep.
I said twice, yo, inside my head though, I said it. I said, yo, man, don't kick me in my balls. I have to get over it. Make sure your head don't hit the floor, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I grab your fucking leg and your foot, and I'm like, all right, relax, right? And I go, wow, this is
Look at the size of this thing.
I'm like petting his foot, right? And I go, this is like the size of a fucking medium-sized dog. So then I put it down, and he's going like this, right? Boom, boom, boom. And he's smiling. He's kind of doing that. And I'm trying to get his attention, but he's not, he doesn't know I'm there really. So I go, okay, I had to get his head and get everything straightened out. And I had to do it from the way I was doing it. I'm like, hey, man, don't kick me in my balls. And I just went and stood over his legs, and he stopped kicking. It just stopped. Everything stopped. I was holding his head, and we were like,
Dude, listen, to go with that
moment of connection.
Yeah, okay, beautiful. Because in this recent thing I brought up earlier, this oh gosh, it's all going to start to blend together. Whatever. This dynamic where I got in the car, I think I may bear it up in your show, Frank. I never got back around to it. With a friend of mine here recently, that I came back to the car and she was seizing, right? So similar, like kicking, thrashing, but her whole body was the short twit. I mean, seizing. Her irises were almost gone, eyes wide open. Got pretty bad. I mean, foaming at the mouth, started vomiting. It went on for like 10, 12 minutes, this whole dynamic, being to end. But this is what I came into. And my whole being just settled into that connection, right? Resonance just settled into me and just what's going on with her, and was able to lift her up, hold her, put my hand on her heart, breathe, do the shh sound, because what does the nervous system, and just seeing and visualizing my energy coming and cycling through her and calming her, and then her energy coming through me and being transmuted as it comes through me, because I'm not like taking anything on or like, oh, it's going to contaminate me. No, man, I'm the creator, and I'm in this moment helping someone who's not able to help themselves. And so I take all of whatever they're going through. It's fine. Cycle it through me. I'll bring coherence to it and give it back to you. It's yours. So we're doing this. And these are all just our layers going on, right? And but just interacting with them. And it was interesting because I've never seen this in a situation quite like this before in this dynamic. I noticed the more her irises came back, the more her presence came back. It was like 10%. And I could see a slight sense of awareness that I was a human or like a thing. Like it took her a while to come back to understanding like hands or cognitive, like you can just see it in her eyes and her reaction, just understanding reality, and she would kind of freak out. And then I was tapping on her spine at one time. I had these with me actually in the vehicle. I had her hold these and put these in her lap. And it's just like, to me, I was doing a million things at once. To that was cycling a certain amount of energy, or was balancing this. I hold this. It was all just calm in the moment, super calm. She's not even present. She's just, seizing out and terrified. You can feel terror when she's present a little bit, because her ego or whatever does no idea what's going on. It's terrified. And as she'd become more present, there'd be a connection there. And I would hold eye contact with her, and I'd say her name softly. And I would just speak to her that you have control over your vessel. Nothing else has control over your vessel. You have the right to be present in and with yourself. This is, and just went in this narrative and just held that space with her. At one point when she came back, she recognized me as a male, not as the person she knew, but a male. And immediately she went into this demonic manifestation thing. This is all like a sober day. I was literally walked into the store for 10 minutes, came back to this in my car. Okay. So and she went into she began to like claw out at me and like bite at me and bite hard, man. I'm talking about I had to actually, as a physical man here, 6'6" man, put about 80 to 90% of my effort at one point to grab her and hold her back. And when she went for my arm, if it had caught, it would have took a chunk of flesh. So, you know, you want to call this a demonic manifestation, doesn't get much more than that. But how do they, if they're those being external entities, which we know there are just from thought forms we create, let alone believe in, and keep making demons be more powerful than they should be because we fear them. Anyway, so like, but how do they have an effect on a vessel? They have to have a resonance inside of it. So when she started attacking me, I immediately knew it wasn't me. It was the male frequency inside of me. I had no personal offense in my little Aaron ego in any way, shape, or form. And as she, I also, the media awareness came to me, trauma. Right? I just knew. I knew the trauma. I knew when it happened or younger. Like I just knew it. I knew the timeline. It made sense. This trauma allowed, and by her choice of not acknowledging or not having to deal with it over life and dissociation, and it was allowed to also create just like drinking, spirits puts us in a frequency if we're not aware of ourselves. I mean, I fully know I can get drunk and be in a bar. I'm not going to be affected by any spirits because I'm sovereign in my vessel now. I just live that way. I get it. But in general, as a general truth, people who do it without awareness, they're opening up their vessel to spirits. Quite literally, they're finding resonance there. So this demon, this demonic thing, or this part of her own psyche, even maybe not even a demonic thing. People sometimes think it's demons when it's not. People learn this through SRA, DID, psychotherapy, and what they've gone through. They'll create, even our nervous system will create demonic parts because we've thought of that part of ourselves as bad, shameful, ugly, wicked, demonic, whatever. It creates a semi-persona that will manifest in the present in a certain situation. Somebody's like, oh, demons, and you can't treat it like a demon. It's literally them. It's like literally not even an outside entity. It's them, 100%, created in some fractal inside the psyche from trauma. So when she died, I was able to calm her down, and that's where I got a little more aggressive, like energetically. I'm like, all right, motherfucker, nope. Like, nope, this energy is not going to stay here. This is not how this is going to go. So for me, I just feel like an internal power up, right? Fucking Dragon Ball Z poster shit I have over here, man. Just a boost up to Super Saiyan 2, right? Fucking really, just like energy just lifts. I'm a little more forceful with my movements of what's going on because it's invading my personal space. She's literally jumping over on my lap. The horn's going off. I'm like, nope. All right, we're going to draw a scene. That's not going to help the situation here. I have to step it up a level and take over the situation. Fine. So then that's where I started speaking to her. She started becoming a little more present. When she's like 30% present, she recognized me enough and enough kind of what was going on, or enough to know that I was present, not freaked out, even though she was. She just folded into my chest and said, I love you. Thank you so much, so much. And then she'd go back to not being like, it was, like I said, this was like 10, 12 minutes. And all this is intuitive in the moment knowing, but it's based, I guess, off a core value system of love the one you're with. Whoever is in front of you, that is your lesson to learn to love, right? In whatever way you can be present with them. And the weirder people get, like stuff like that, weird or whatever, the more calm and present I get. And I know you do. I know Zach does. I know Claudia does. I know many people in the chat do.
Yeah, I get
Shaman.
It's
go ahead.
You gotta, all right. If you feel that it's a role you have to play, I would say every time I submit myself to the experience, so I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know what anything's going to teach you. I don't know what they're going to show you. I don't know if you're going to purge, if you're going to throw up, shit your pants. You're going to freak out. Your heart's going to stop. Your heart's going to start. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I don't know how to explain any more to you that you're the all and you've been fractaled out. And I can't, like, so you have to kind of be fluid with this.
Totally.
Right? Then all of a sudden, you know, as you submit yourself to it, and don't fall into the aspects of, oh no, look what he's doing, or like, be aware, set the whole place up in advance. This is what I always do, safe, sacred space, right? So then you can't do that. And then when whatever happens, Aya has never let anything physically happen to us that's been so bad that you're just like, well, I quit, or that was. We've had people swinging the ficus tree. Everybody knows the ficus tree is bigger than Aaron, right? So
it's big enough to massage your little bald head in the lightning storm while I'm out there.
That would smash me into the next room like some superhero movie. He was swinging that around. I had a guy take the door down and land in the other room. He was so big, he made you look small, right? Well, he was like 6'8". He was like 400 pounds though, but his picture on Facebook had him at 176 pounds. And then he's like, yeah, I put on some weight. And I'm like, what? And then he lost his shit. He kept drinking the ayahuasca. He's like, I'll have another. I'll have another. I'll have another. I'm like, yo, calm down. And then we did it. It didn't work on him, right? And then he took a hit of DMT and it went into like a 6-hour holy shit. And he fucking got up and he took the door down right here, took all the furniture down, found the only, I don't know where he found the Bible. He threw a Bible at me in my own house. And I said, there was a moment where I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to, jump on this motherfucker. And then
is this Ficus guy? Is this Ficus guy?
What happened?
Is this Ficus guy you're talking about? This is the same guy who's dragging the Ficus?
I've had so many weird experiences.
I know.
Very big 400-pound guy. He was like the biggest guy I've ever seen, but he was very overweight. He couldn't breathe right. He was having problems. But his hands and his feet were bigger than yours. Dude, there was just so much weight behind him. And he was screaming and yelling. But I said to her, yo, you're going to have to help me. I'm the only one here. Like, he could squeeze my head off. If he got up and got angry and threw his arm, there's a chance he could break my neck. Like, I'm an injured dude, right? So what if he jumps on me and just lands on me? He's 400 pounds. I will be dead if he just squirmed all over me, like, and nothing ever happened to me. Stuff will happen to everything else and bounce around. Same thing with Paul. Nothing touches her, nothing ever gets to her, and it goes nose to nose. It does it to me. Now it doesn't. None of that shit works.
Well, like, here's what's interesting. So I learned that paradigm in my that awoken. We'll say that activated in me. Well, that's probably a better way to say it. Not learned it in my head, but that activated inside of me. So I'm trying to trace back, like,
I mean,
how have I lived
me when you were here? Like, you didn't know. You said to me, I didn't know, but you knew, and you did it perfectly.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, in hindsight, now I feel back into that moment, right? Tune out the logical mind. Obviously, I hadn't practically been in that situation, just like I hadn't been in this car with this person. But when you slip into presence, and then whatever presence, I think presence is an infinite space in a sense, but then it focuses on whatever value system or intention you put behind that focus of presence. So in those moments of presence with connection, even like we've had this entire night, and I think based on what you're saying before too, speaking not just from the mind or from the upper chakras, but actually speaking from the heart. Like when we do that, that creates that coherence or that, phase conjugation, that whole thing between us and externally, which is interesting because I think the point is we've learned to do that internally on our own, in our own ways, as we can, continue to describe out here. But then when you connect with an other, that's where all these beautiful fractals and everything that's going on the screen the whole time. It's this organic, continually fluid, infinite, recursive, fractal implosion, beautiful shit that just keeps flowing out.
There's the fractal that's on the screen right now. I saw all of us doing this dance and singing this song. And it was our song, but it was your song. It like hits the perfect note in your song, and at the same time, in the overall song, is hitting a note in that song that makes it
all harmonic resonance. It's finding like the right places within ourselves and within the conversation that everything any one of us says is a harmony to another.
Dude,
makes sense to me.
Give yourself to the force and let the force guide you. That's the shit they're talking about. You kind of just relax into it. You don't act out through emotional output and lash out too quickly, or don't lash out at all. You like soak it into the situation and then move through it at the optimum way without having like an emotional attachment to it that would cause something bad to happen, maybe.
Totally. So Jen says, do you guys have experience with these entities then later in real life? He, which I love that. It's all real, right? It's all in us. See their presence and exist within any humans that you in your external reality. Okay, so what the way it's worded, what's making me think of, so in the Bible paradigm, Jesus talks about if you clean a house out of demons, that you have to replace it with something. Then you have an empty house. And if you don't replace it with something, God, but you, right, more your own presence, putting in, I mean, you can do that through positive actions externally, but really it's filling it literally with more of you or your own soul, like your own you-ness. that demon will go find 6 friends and they will return, and that person will be way off worse than they were before. You know, so when I do interactions with demonic energies that I, excuse me, sorry. And I feel like I've kind of ingrained this into my like subroutines or something. Like, it's funny. I'm glad we had talk about it, because that's where it's like, okay, what do I do? Because I know I deal with that, but let me like slow down time and break down what I do. So equity, Zach said, I think the other night, and that Andrew Bartzis has some beautiful paradigms and contract revocations. AndrewBartzis.com/insights. If you want to throw that in the chat, Zach. About putting things into a spiritual court of equity with Mother Earth, Father, Son, your ancestors, all ancestors involved in whatever this dynamic is with this person or entity or whatever, to bring equity, not justice, but remedy, resolve, equity, right? Not justice or judgment, because that's just it's duality, but we're bringing equity and wholeness to our presence here. So that going through his paradigm and using those metaphors help me to like integrate that into myself. So again, it becomes, when I'm dealing with any entity, unless I'm consciously engaging with it and interacting and telling it where to go or what to do or what it can't do or what it, whatever, the general thing is it cannot go off and harm any other sentient kind, right? It has its own free will choice, whatever. It can't go get anybody else, can't return here, because I'm working with a person. I'm going to make sure they're more full of themselves before we leave, putting a sign at the door, can't return here, etherical door, like all this shit. But it's really subjective to every situation. It's very interesting.
Well, to answer it from this perspective, have I ever seen someone etherically, one of these weird beings or just a crazy being that we know in our lore of something somewhere, and then seen maybe them in the real world, maybe them running the body? Space Jesus is right there.
You're looking at
Right?
Space
Yeah,
Jesus
look,
right now.
Aaron.
What's up, bro? I'm back.
Yeah. As you hear him
Holy
talk
shit.
and describe things, it's like he can just break it down without the worry of being crucified this time around.
No doubt, man. Dude, Frank, this is why when you saw me first, I had a fucking Hebrew Jesus beard going, right? And I remember in the summer just seeing these moments coming, right? And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, I do look way too much like Jesus. I got to shave this beard or it's going to start some cult following that'll be beyond my control based on bullshit, because sorry, Mama Earth, your people give their power away way too fucking easy. Got to shave it.
Dude, I was like, I had and I use Space Jesus because I have this thing with just saying Jesus, right? So, I was with my cat Buddy on my front lawn, and Aaron's been here. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. And I was standing under the first part of the yard where the fence is and the first tree. And the bird, everything was kind of quiet. And I picked Buddy up and I started petting him. I said, I love you so much. And then the bird started singing and it sounded like a song started. And I was like, that's really beautiful, right, Buddy? And he was going, he's purring. And I'm like, I can't believe Buddy's even letting me hold him and do this. And I started, I held him like a baby and started cradling him. And I was like, oh, the birds are singing for you, little baby. And I turn around and Space Jesus is standing right there. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I go, are you serious? Like, you're real? And he goes, well, they're all real. Why wouldn't I be? Right? So I go, oh, look, I'll shorten the message real quick. Everything they write about me, for the most part, it's been rewritten over and over. Just know you can do what I can do, but way more, because I didn't have a chance to do the way more. But
yeah,
you're gonna in this time do that. So I don't want you to get caught up in what would Jesus do, or my life, or what they told you about me and all that. So I let him in the front yard. I had to see if he was physical, and I touched him and shit. And I was like, yo, I said to him, I would smoke pot with you. I don't know why I said that. Like, 'cause I find that to be highly,
because I'm smoking pot right now, bro. Hello.
No, I know. When you were here, we were making the jokes about it. And then it all fucking hit me. And I'm like smoking weed with you going, holy shit.
That's right.
And there's that show, American Gods, where they had the Jesus aspects.
Okay.
So because the different cultures had a different version of Jesus, there was multiple Jesuses on the show. So they would all, like, you'd have biker Jesus and, space Jesus is on the show. There's a scene where it's Easter and they invite the lady that does Easter goes, I can't invite Jesus and not invite all of them, right?
Yeah.
So the astronaut one is at the party, and I'm like, oh shit, Space Jesus. And
Holy shit, Frank, you're gonna love this. You mean this Space Jesus astronaut right there?
yeah, man. So Jesus from space, I said to him, your robe doesn't look like a Jesus robe, you know that, like how they depict you. And he's like, nope. And I go, it looks like I used to watch Star Trek The Next Generation, and Whoopi Goldberg was always like dressed in these weird flowy robe, weird things and outfits.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I actually just found a picture of Aaron when he was younger. And
perfect. Yeah, let's throw this into the lyrics.
And he actually liked Star Trek then as well. You'll see.
I do like it now.
You'll see here. This is Aaron when he liked Star Trek.
That's it,
right? Get that UFO shit out of there. Get your spaceships out of here. You're not picking up on the clouds. Go home. They're going to embody their vessels. They're not going to go up in your spaceships. They're going to grow up and learn to integrate into their bodies. Go away.
I said to him, I go, you're not, that's not like a traditional robe. That's like some Starfleet shit, right? And he goes, uh-huh. And I was like, tell me you're up there with the Galactic Federation characters and all that. And he goes, what makes you think that you're not up there projecting onto here is why I'm here? And I'm like, oh, there he goes. Question with the question. Right? And it worked. It like twisted me out and everything. You know, the second time I met him, I started getting very friendly with it, with the idea of this character. And I grabbed him and I said, I got to feel you again. Give me the Spartacus handshake. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if I was one of the apostles, but one of the awesome ones like Peter or something, you know, the rock of the church. And I was making
one of them shitty ones like Judas, one of the awesome ones.
He goes, yeah, whatever. He goes, that would be cool. He goes, unfortunately, you were the guy that stabbed me. And then he fucking held my arm and he's like, remember? And I'm like, yo, get the fuck off me, bro. Right? I start thinking, I'm like, Jesus got a grip on him, man. So he shows it to me and it was me. I run up. I had this little shiv. He was like carrying this thing on his back. He was like walking with his real heavy. And I just walk out of a crowd. And I'm like, man, I fucking stab him, jump right back in the crowd. And I try to stop it, what they were showing me. I try to stop that. And I'm like, wait, hold on. That's not a good deal for me. I'm not into that. I'm going to go down there and have a word with this little motherfucker. And I go down there, look him in the face. And he's like, and he was like looking at it like a dummy version of myself, like just a skeezy piece of shit, you know? And I'm like, I gotta fucking love this guy. I want to punch him in his face. And they're like, you better integrate that guy. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy though. And they're like, well, you're not him anymore, but you're gonna need to forgive yourself right now. And I'm like, oh, great. And I had to feel that feeling, and then it turned into something really transmuted the whole situation. Interesting. Not what I was expecting. I felt terrible after that. And I thought to myself, well, I guess everyone plays the role. And he goes, that's what it's all about. That's the only way you learn on that level, if it's for someone to play the role in the hologram.
Okay. Let's jump into a deeper level of casual chill, since we're over the 3-hour mark, and I definitely feel it setting in. And just like, let's go some hypothetical. Here's some Benoit balls that I'm have around, and interesting thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts on or experiences. So,
and for anybody that's curious, yes, Aaron does play with balls. Continue.
I do. It's true. And we're going to do whole videos on that shit, man. How to play with your balls and cycle your energy.
Whole videos. Keep tuning in for videos from Aaron on how to play with balls.
How to play your balls and not paint the walls. Fuck. Frank Castle, Aaron Kessler, Zach Morrison. Fucking video. Make it class.
You know, as we're watching this, the graphic that's going, right? Like some of these graphics are fucking spot on, man.
No doubt, man.
I
or
crying.
Or oh, come on, Frank. I love you, man. I love how you're such a you're a Bronx motherfucker, but you're a fucking big teddy bear, man. I love you.
Remembering the colors and the schemes around me, blending with me, bending symbiotically with me, controlling it but not controlling it, you know, It's
Yeah.
like this weird dance you play with it, and there's never fear, there's never anger, there's never
Yeah.
frustration. It's just
Yeah.
constantly rolls. See how it moves.
Come on.
Is
Yeah.
change the thought and the idea and the pattern.
Holy shit. What if that's what fractals are all about? I was joking with Zach. I mean, but I'm serious though in a lot of ways. That the equation that merges all of physics and all of science and all everything, that it's the fractal equation, which I don't have in front of me, but it's like Fn plus 2 equals F squared n plus C or something, right? But it's the equation for what's happening in front of us, in the infinite. And I don't know if this one specifically, but I think he's been putting on fractal videos. So they may seem similar, but they're never the same. They're always novel, always new. And in that place of always being present, which is the only real now moment, never stuck in the future, worrying about someone we want to be with or something we want to make happen in our life, just being present, never being regretting, oh, I should this, should that, or being in the past or anxiety or all that stuff. That we actually are continually creating these fractal patterns within ourselves, within this conversation, that we can go this long. And I don't have any cutoff time at this point, because we're doing this, what's on screen, in our fucking hearts, through our fucking mouths, on this fucking conversation. And that's fucking cool.
Every time you witness the same fractal point, it's always from a new perspective, creating infinite viewing points.
Yeah.
Right. So every time you visit the place, it's never the same thing. Even though the colors are the same, you're like, oh, this reminds me of, it's like, yeah, it is that. It's always that. It's just that you're viewing it from here or here or
Dude.
here or here.
So that's that interesting tie into the, so that's what I was trying to explain to my mom. I have my mom is so fucking wonderful, man. So all the things that people think are like great about me or in touch my divine feminine or whatever, it's my fucking mom, man. She's been wonderful on so many levels. And so even my expression leaving the church, she was with me the whole time. She's listened to me go through all the truther stuff, all the, just I try to integrate that, because I compacted like lifetimes of knowing this into a year I had with her recently. I mean, just spent a lot of time with her. And I read to her the Essene Gospel of Peace, parts of it, and she was crying or really touched, and I was crying reading it, because it was for her connecting to missing pieces from the religion that I know her heart knows. Like, I've seen it in her life, but she would very much say she's Christian. She posts Christian posts, like she resonates with that dynamic. So some of the conversations we have are hard. God's in me, you are God, Mom. Like, but on deeper levels, I go into the texts and ways that help her see what that means, and I've told her about the space Jesus thing, and I've explained to her, like, yeah, but we're all Jesus, it's like, it's just a thing,
it's literally everyone,
right?
He was a character. However, he had the compression breakthrough. He was able to show you some shit. So we're all one. That's where that comes from. So
yeah,
you are him. You're the living library, of course. You can
right.
tap right into that and check it out. But however,
and here's some things to kill some disillusions. So go ahead.
No, it's just great for that layer and level, but it's a little archaic to a degree. Like, the metaphors work, but he wants you to blast past where he was.
Totally.
So sitting in behind him, wondering if you need his blessing or some shit.
Dude, you know what's funny?
It's not
Think
true.
about this.
Blast.
Think about this. Because, like, Jesus got frustrated with his disciples a lot. Like, they come to him and they say like different times. So I think one is like, Master, this kid, we tried to cast the demons out of him, but they wouldn't go, and he's trying to throw the kid in the fire or something. And you think it's like, oh, Jesus is this nice, benevolent, higher aware being. So he's infinitely patient and compassionate, and he's going to take this opportunity to teach them something profound. Yeah, he did. He said, how the fuck long am I going to have to put up with you dumb motherfuckers? You do it. That's literally what he tells them at times. You do it. And they're like, oh. He's like, fuck, fine. I'll do it again. Learn. And I'll do it in a new way. So maybe you learn this time. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. I had a shaman I was working with, and he was really, really good, but some things began to occur. And I'm like, I can't keep clearing you, and then you keep doing what you're doing, because it just keeps reoccurring. So you have to have this protection up. So I'm going to clear you. And then as we go throughout this month, I'm going to back off towards the end of the month, every other day, every few days. And you should be up in your own protection by then. We'll have worked through it together for long enough. And people want to have by association, I'm protected, or by association, I'll get in, or by association, you'll just help me out because that's what creators do. And I'm like, no, because I'm taking that on for you. Just in those moments. I'm Thor with the hammer, and I came and I landed with the hammer around you and protected you. Boom, everyone went flying. Now they're going to get back up and come over here because you can't really do nothing with that. It's going to come right back over. You have to go, give me the hammer. I got this. And you have to take it and get to work and be worthy.
Right.
Whatever that means metaphorically.
Well, and then just that harmonic resonance of meeting people where they're at, and not out of bitterness or because we have to, or like, why do I have to deal with these new beginners again? Or on some level, like, that's not even a frequency that's in me. And I know it's not in you. It's just, I mean, it might be in the ego at times a little, but not really. I mean, whoever's in front of me and whatever help they need, like if it fits in timing or whatever, if this ends up being the person I'm giving attention and time to, whatever issue comes up, it's an opportunity for me to create something new for them. Because I can share some things I've done, but I also think, okay, well, what are their symbol sets, as Zach says? Like, what would matter to them, and create something that like would really work for them to ingrain something into their subconscious and into their own vessel. And like, so it's always beautiful to create for someone who, whatever level, levels, a weird word, whatever state of awareness that they're at, and to share there. But that's where it's just extra cool in the sense for us to meet when you meet people. Soul family or soulmates or soulmates of the moment. I think I talked about that earlier on this show. I don't know. Where you can have that depth of exchange in a very short amount of time when you can meet with an open heart, and not just heart chakra. I mean, like, dude, I think the actual organic heart is a far more advanced technology than a nervous system overlay or a heart chakra, even energetic. I think they're all over. I think your fucking cells and your heartbeat and your cells in the physical vessel are the most advanced technology in the universe. I mean it.
I agree.
That's just me.
I agree. And it's the
we'll
one thing
see.
that they want and they can't have. Right? You can
dude,
copy it, but it's just not the same. And
in
we
the
pick up on that immediately.
in the so I learned a lot of the deeper truther stuff and the stuff through trying to learn the psychology of the partner that I was with, from some just what seemed to be, deep childhood trauma stuff, and then some other weird stuff with her family lineage or potentially and whatever. And so I started looking into the Christian version of SRA, DID, ministries or counseling, ones that were dealing with people. SRA is satanic ritual abuse, or DID is dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. And it's when they know this in the Jesuits and in the Mormon texts and stuff, they all talk about before the age of 7, then that's when a child will be ours for life. And they know now psychologically before your brain goes into the next stage, which is primarily, I think, up into more of the beta and alpha ranges and out of theta. But if you can get before the age of 7, you can sever their psyche so severe with trauma that they have literally dissociated personalities, that a primary presenter, you and I, in these hypotheticals, if you're not doing the inner work and you don't know your own selves like the way we have, but this is finding fractals, that there are parts literally stored in cells in the body and organs and tissues that hold like crazy shit, man. This is corroborated from other things I've heard. I mean, it's not crazy because it's crazy if you've never heard about it, but it makes sense to me. And through these dynamics and learning these things and walking through their experiences, like when we talk through our meditations and things we went through, those the experiences they have from many, many different, and more and beyond that, and many different stories, but showing that that in these dynamics where they're severing the personalities, that they even had like souls from Nazis stored in people through lineage DNA in parts of their vessel, and through intentional dissociative trauma before 7. They had actual Nazis, so they had to create revocations and frameworks to literally not just integrate fractals, but to actually undo the surgery, some kind of surgery, to remove the soul shard from this soul shard from the Nazi, from the person themselves. Right. And so like they were doing advanced stuff of understanding what was going on. Like I remember this 100% Christian paradigm. Okay. Some of them are doing great stuff, man. They're learning shit, man. They're getting it.
Stuff when they break a mind, they'll take a child and break them in one way or another. I'm not going to get into that, but the mind to save the child ejects the consciousness or whatever out of the body. You have an out of body experience, and then you can't get back in. But what happens is the mind then creates a new character, to handle the situation, whatever it is.
Okay.
And then depending on the avenue of them torturing that character, it can create another one by ejecting that character out. And then they pull them in by word association. They'll say and trigger you, and that character.
Well, even like into an extreme, but there's lesser things. But also in like the American, the Marvel movies, White Soldier, I think, or Winter Soldier, where he's saying that mantra around him in that plexiglass kennel.
Yep.
Remember the cage? Yeah, same. It's all you know, this soft disclosure, all that kind of stuff. So,
it's programming, and you're literally made of ones and zeros. That's like really hard for people to run their mind around. What do you mean I'm made of one and zeros? Dude, you're a holographic interpretation of your higher self.
Your brain is a quantum computer. What is a quantum computer? I mean, at its core, theoretical, just brief description. It's the fact that it can maintain 0 and 1 at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So you can be anything, but between 0 and 1, there's infinite possibilities. 0.01, 0.0035, or whatever. Right. But you are 0 and 1. You are both. So create your reality in that dynamic.
That's why when things argue with you, and you have that understanding, and that's like just saying you're the all, right? So I would say, well, I'm the all. So of course, that immediately cancels the whole program. You're not wearing the mask. You're not playing the game. It's the head programmers here.
Right.
Prime creators.
So I think like it made me picture, even I guess with the imagery too, a standing wave. So that's, again, the gold, every step, every footstep I take that emanates that sovereignty, if you will, and does all those sub-programs I put into it to clear the space or find coherence within the land. And they're loose frameworks that know how to find resonance within the land. It's like a rigid thing. This is what happens when I come in, and like stars, right? I want 12 bottles of this water, and I want this, this, and this. And it's like they just step into place and expect it to be done. It's like that on an energetic level to some extent, man. I know energetically, as I step on that land, I'm sending like my etherical bedroom, my safe, sacred space into the bedroom I'm going to be sleeping in. I let it go in there, clear out, set up. Like it's there for me. Like these are little programs I've written into everywhere I go when I'm doing something. Same thing with like riding in my van or
thing that you do. So you're always on a path that would appear like a little lovey rainbow thing that you're taking your journey. You know, like I was saying, when I got thrown out of a DMT session, these guys threw me out because their friend freaked out. And I had smoked with the kid to help him. I had to see what was going on. And then they all just grabbed me and were like, yo, you need to leave. And I was outside before I knew it. And I had to walk home. It was like 3 miles and it was raining. And it was like as if the rain didn't touch me. It wasn't raining hard, but I wasn't wet. And I didn't have to stop. I'm in the Bronx. There's always red lights, green lights, stop. There was none of it. I just was able to walk and then keep the momentum moving the entire time. I made it home in like record time. And when I told Paula what had happened, she was like, well, when did all this happen? I go, just now. I just got home. I just walked from there to here.
Yeah.
So that was so fast. You guys just left. I'm like, yeah, it was like magic carried me home. Like,
absolutely.
I didn't explain that. Like my legs didn't hurt. I wasn't.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you. Okay, see, to me, okay, listen, Frank, Zach, you asked this the other day about like when I was telling the story about in the ancient texts, that there's talk about 12 different sons had 12 different like epigenetic superpowers. One, he could run so fast that he could be somewhere and take a man 3 days, takes him 3 hours, and he'd walk on the tops of corn stalks. Like literally, it sounds like. So, and there's other places in the Bible where it literally talks about teleportation or that instant transportation, where he was here and suddenly the spirit took him up and put him like 35 miles south instantaneously, and he showed up right before his caravan passed by so he could preach him the gospel. And then he got picked up by the spirit again and brought back home. And like that's in the text in a lot of places. So that's why to me it's a code. It's just us, man. I think that we've been stripped down of what, like, you are more than, Andrew says this, and I love it, right? You are more than you've ever heard, read, or studied. You are, man. It's
the concept of what you think that we're becoming on your most advanced using all of your mental abilities to your fantasy and your this and everything you've ever read doesn't even scratch the surface. I'm telling you right now, I saw a pinprick of what we are, right? During one of my experiences, there was a black background, and then they were like, dude, you're on the other side of that wall. It's you. So go to the wall. And then it looked like blip, and there was a hole in the wall, and the light that came in dropped me to the floor, and it was just one little beam of light. And they're like, get up, open it up. And I'm like, I can't get up. It's too much. That can't.
It's like actual imagination. I've been contemplating that for a long time, how like everything even that we imagine, we actually are just like drawing from stuff we already know. So it's not even like real imagination.
Yeah. Well, so on the imagination is it stuff we already know. So in that moment, I guess this kind of rounds out that story too. So in that in those moments with that person in the car that was present with her in that way, each moment I felt like I was just being aware of any and all lifetimes I needed to have the tools to create something new in the moment. That potentially parsing that maybe like being different than the imagination, where I'm intentionally or tuning into a creation of my imagination or imaging nation within. Sure. Versus an actual in the moment expression that's maybe where the infinite, that's why like you were saying earlier, Frank, everything we do, like the light coming out of the fingers and the eyes and the cells, like dancing around the monument and all that shit, the more connected we are to self, I feel like the more we emanate literally everything we do. Like, have you guys gotten into, like, after doing San Pedro and with Andy Bartzis in Barbados, I remember the biggest thing, one of the coolest things, was I saw the light coming out of my fingers. Each one had a different color and tint and hue and kind of like plasma and different. And I understood the different, like, the elements, and like there's so much understanding about what they did. And ever since then, like, my fingers always move. Like I'm always orchestrating when, especially with music, right? But just, yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you said that.
Right, because that's why
totally.
When we make jokes, see, people laugh at us and go, "Oh, you bunch of dudes jumping around like a bunch of fucking hippies with your magic show, thinking you're fucking unicorns and stuff." Right now, you take a hit of DMT and you take a look at that same situation, and you're like, "Oh, you're literally that." So all your movements are already been pre-planned to a degree or another. If you're tuned in and it's the right thing to make it magical. I'm like, look at this shit. Like they were teaching me Tai Chi once. Simple stuff. Simple, because I'm injured, right? So
yeah,
they're like, you know what ruins this? I'm like, what? That they make people fight each other with this stuff. And I go, what do you mean? Tiger style, mantis style. They're like, yeah, you know what that really is supposed to do? And I'm like, no. And then it was like the mantis hand positions, and I started doing it and then moving with my feet a certain way and moving my hips a certain way. And then I saw the beings come in the room, and they were like my dance partners, right? And I was learning from them, and they were learning from me. So the dance was them teaching me stuff that I was unaware of in that one moment, but I did hear them talking to me, and I would say stuff like they came in as humans and danced with me, and then changed. Like I looked up and they were changed, and I was like, yo, don't ever do that again. You come in here as you, or don't fucking come in here. And they were like, all right, we got it. So now we didn't want to scare you. Then it was tiger style, right? All the movements and bear paw and all this shit. And you're just connecting to the animal spirit through dance. You're connecting in your DNA to that, the mother spirit, all of that character. So the great mother bear, the great mother tiger, the great father tiger, the great panda, the great whatever the fuck is there.
Yeah. And they paint with it.
And you paint with it. And you just, it's the most amazing thing. The whole plate.
Yeah, man.
So we're watching the breathing backgrounds as we're floating in the yellow and the red and the this and the that. And you're like, man, little me floating. I've seen Alex Gray in the middle of all that, standing there in a pocket that he could stand on, painting it in full mastery control.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's how you do that. And what he was doing was his hand. And he was painting exactly what he was looking at. and it was moving though, and it was breathing to him, and he was like holding it in its place, going, I'm going to transfer this from here to here. And I was watching him do that, and they were like, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, you can do weird stuff. Like, you kind of know how to fight, but you got to fight. You can tune into Mike Tyson's spirit, right? And you can have him teach you how to throw a left hook and an uppercut.
Yeah.
Right.
And teach him how to paint like Bob. Was that Bob Ross? Is that his name? I forget.
Nah, man, this is Aaron after he did mescaline with Andrew Barthes in Barbados.
Hold on, is San Pedro mescaline?
Yeah, it's the same. Well, same compound in there.
It? Oh, okay, all right, didn't know. Just my beard wasn't as long then. I decided to poof the Jerry.
Well, see, in this image right here, you had your beard on your head, on top of your head.
Frank,
your head was upside down because you had just done mescaline.
Dude, you have to see, Frank. You have to see yesterday's broadcast. So this is gonna be hard. Maybe we're gonna have to pay somebody Zach to like go through and like mark things that are irrelevant or something. I don't know, timestamp them. Okay,
yeah,
but
if anybody wants a job and wants to watch a stream all the time and timestamp stuff, just email.
Yep, really contact us, please. Seriously, we're willing to look into the cost of that and probably pull the trigger pretty quick and try that out. So we're talking about. I was talking about values, virtues, and gifts or whatever, and trying to make the parallel of like a tree and its root system. And like he kept asking me questions to keep elaborating. I'm like, why the fuck is he? I mean, he's kind of asking semi-repetitive questions. Okay, I guess I can. And then I'd find something kind of new, and I'm like, well, all right, cool. And then he's like, okay, wait, so is this specifically? And he's like, I'm drawing it right now, just so you know. Like, I'm drawing a really detailed version of this. I'm like, fuck, man, cool, right on. Do you have that? Fuck, Zach, you better pull that shit up. Do you have a fucking screenshot of that? What you pulled up? From last night, man.
I don't remember what it was.
Your symbols you drew and shit. I just don't know where it's at in the video. I have to take a
screenshot.
Oh,
no. I'd have to. I could maybe find it in the video real quick, but.
Yeah, see if you can. So he flips this shit around, Frank. He flips the image around. He goes, here's what I drew. I'm stoked, and I was also really stoned at that point. But I'm stoked to see what he drew, right? I'm thinking in my mind, I'm trying to tune in what he drew based on what I was picturing in my mind, right? Like, cool, one of these synchronistic moments or something. Dude, it was this child's piece of artwork with boxes and squares and a star and like some scribbles. And it was the funniest shit because my immediate reaction was, what did I miss something? What am I supposed to be looking at? I don't know what happened. Did I miss something? And then I knew it was a joke, and it was really fucking funny. And it went on from there, man. Zach carried on with that. He did this little ad lib shit with it that would just turn into this fucking beautiful shit for at least a minute or two.
Yeah, see, I have the 323 is when it's at. I got it here. We can at least see.
Yeah, cool.
All right,
the drawing.
It was just 244 here. I'm gonna have to check out because I have to actually back up here and then go back to the other place. I gotta stay with my grandparents tonight. Anyway, love you guys very much. Thank you so much.
Love you, Frank.
Having me on, for Paula on. Appreciate you in so many ways. You guys are awesome. Stay safe.
Every night at 11 p.m. your time, bro. Just come fucking drop a line, man. I guess we're doing this. Our lives are just restructured around this now. I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah, anytime you want to jump in here. Here's the beautiful drawing from last night.
Yeah, look what he turned around on me.
Here.
Like, what the fuck? He's telling us this beautiful art he's really drawn. But do you want to dive into that again? No, Frank's got to go. He can explain it, though. It's like, it made sense, actually. I was like, actually, that's fucking, you know what? That's all symbol sets, man. And he just attached meaning to a symbol set. I get it.
Like, took the faceplate off the computer, right? Like, symbols and designs behind it to make it all work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally.
All right. Guys, stay awesome. Love you so much.
Love you too.
Love you too, Frank. It's super good having you here. Feel free to stop by anytime, even if it's just for like 15 minutes or whatever, and say what's up, man.
Totally.
Thanks, guys, so much. I appreciate you. Peace out.
Appreciate you.
Stay fearless.
We'll see you later, man. All right. Well, it has been a good 3 hours and 43 minutes. I think that's probably just a good, nice plot to call it entirely. I appreciate everybody for joining tonight, for sure.
Let me let me chime in, even though it's a little more on a serious note before we tune out, because this is something that's I've let it go, and it just came back at this moment. Otherwise, I'd leave it for another time. But so I talked earlier about soul shards and being connected to other souls, and that being a different potential process or ritual or revocation than just doing a fractal integration or those different things. Again, andrewbartz.com/insights is a great, just some basic templates that can bring a lot of balance internally and coherence, that can handle those things, even potentially without you having to deal with it directly. So I just want to also honor the fact that some people may be coming to the awareness now. It's something that there's a lot of people may have been working with this and tuned into this, but there is a difference between fractals of self on one hand, or psyche, and soul shards, or parts of spirit or soul that have been severed off in ritual or things over timelines that are still entangled with star systems or prisons or planets or bases or things that have yet to be then reintegrated. So there are different dynamics there. I just want to acknowledge that reality for anybody who, I mean, oh my God, we still have 13 viewers. So, you know, who knows, plus the future 13 that might make it this far in the next however long. But those things are real, and there's ways to get integration from all that, get everything back that's ever been stolen from us, to be fully present here in the now as if it never was, but retaining the memories, because that's cool.
And really just keep tuning in for more of that. Really, we're constantly diving into processes that lead right into this. We have a vast amount of experiences ourselves. If you do, if you've been watching, like, subscribe. Any other social stuff is down in the description below. I couldn't possibly agree more with what you're saying there. And really, the entire thing of awareness is expanding your awareness so that you can coagulate more parts of yourself. And we do that here by way of expanding our understanding. So we really appreciate you guys joining with us, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future.